All right. So, why are we here today? Why are we in hell again? And this time, not on a Sunday, our regularly planned streaming time. We're here on a Wednesday. This must be an urgent matter. If I had a soundboard, I'd play like the news urgent sound, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
Clearly, we're here to finish the stream that we fucked up and fumbled at the end.
Why are you
Wrap up the last
cops?
5 minutes.
We're cops because we are agents of capital.
We have become we're the police of Anitube.
We're the content cops.
Content
we are
cops.
Content cops. The police enforcement of Anitube. Because anytime anyone posts the wrong opinion, we just have to be there. And
The Lolis.
We got to be there.
Can somebody bend this guy?
the Lolis.
Yep.
Lolis.
So yeah, we're cops
Nice.
today because I don't know. Moomy thought it'd be funny to put cop hat on. Cops. How do I want to say this? Moomy thought it would be
Cop
funny
hats?
to put police officer hats on us. Good lord, why is that the hardest thing for me to say? Because what are we doing today? Well, Meat Canyon literally fucking hours ago put out a video talking about Lolicon in reference to let's get out of hell. In reference to we're gonna have Lolicami Requiem dance the entire stream. That'll be fun.
Avoiding
Enjoy
copyright.
Hell yeah.
that. So I guess for the normal people in chat who don't pay attention to petty internet drama, all three of you,
You really said the normals.
I guess there's been like drama surrounding, like we talked about this last stream a little bit. There's like a drama surrounding like Vosh or whatever because he accidentally showed a folder on stream that had like a couple like Lolicon images in it, and that sparked a whole firestorm for some goddamn reason, I guess, because
Yeah.
it's a slow news week. You know, the war in Palestine. It's not dying down actually, but it's not really interesting to pay attention to anymore. We got to find something else to fuel the content.
I mean, the
machine.
anime community has had like a dozen different topics of discussion for like how long now?
I have
Since
no
forever.
idea. Well, it's funny because I think this video is actually I watched it beforehand. It actually reminded me of Demo D's like Lolicon video.
Oh yeah.
I
That
think
was
it's
a thing.
pretty like a similar caliber.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good reference point because
The wor-
it's very similar type of energy. Yeah.
The worst crime about the Vosh thing is that it was full of AI art. Yeah, I know that was funny. And the reason, because like originally like the plan was to actually just kind of like tackle this topic on Sunday, but no one had really made a video really talking about Lolicon or in any capacity. The whole drama had basically just been like, how dare you call me Ethan H3H3? You call me out for this. I thought we were. I don't fucking know. It's like a shit show that I don't care about.
That was just literally.
And the whole
like,
idea
YouTube
of the
drama.
stream was just like us just going to be like, we're just going to grift off the drama to like talk about this stuff. But it was like, well, would that really make sense? Because like there's no video to like structure the conversation around like usual. So I feel like we just ended being a mess. So we decided not to do it. We watched that other video. Skip forward to today. This video came out how long ago? 4 hours ago. So it's really hopping on that train right off the bat. And so I guess now we have a video that talks about these things that we can now talk about. So yeah, do we want to put like a content warning? I guess because this probably will end up diving into like some heavy subject matter at points, just given the nature of things. So I guess if you don't want to, don't want to potentially hear like a conversation of like pedophilia or like child sex abuse material or anything along those lines, it's probably not the stream for you, honestly, and that's completely fine.
Yeah.
Understandably, most people just don't want to talk about this kind of stuff.
I didn't realize I was watching a police stream. Yeah, Shade.
Or you got a license for this video,
You got a
mate.
license for this video, but we do want to talk about it, mostly just for clicks, mostly just for clout. Because like the thing with this video,
sorry, can you put up scary shapes on stream?
Scary
Why would you
shapes,
do that?
What? Not good. Nope.
Not good.
Well, to
he
a
didn't know.
certain extent, I mean, the video itself, it's not going to make, I don't think, a lot of convincing arguments for, I guess, those of us who it's kind of pretentious to say, but more well read on the topic, I guess. But it's going to tackle a lot of like just trite arguments, I guess. It's kind of preaching to the choir, kind of just like virtue signaling, because I don't think Meat Canyon was like really like related to this at all. But I guess to be fair, that's also what we're doing at the same time. So, you know,
they clearly did research on this subject too.
a
which is
little
weird.
bit, yeah, some research, but it's like, I don't know, it's like very surface level research. Like they didn't read any books or anything.
Yeah,
like,
some modicum.
It's very
of
poor
research.
research, but like
Yeah.
they clearly
uh,
referenced the fact that they were looking up stuff and like
Right.
it's just like how did you fumble this hard?
and no sources are cited though, despite I guess they're being researched. So we've learned nothing from H Bomber Guy. Unfortunately, to be fair though, this isn't like a video essay. I don't even know how long this video was in production for, given that this Vosh drama has been like a thing for like 2 weeks maybe at most, a week and a half, and this video has like animation and stuff that is fairly complicated and probably would have taken a while. This would have taken a while to put together, and I can't see him just making this strictly in response to the drama. I feel like this may have been coming a little bit beforehand, especially because
it does seem like he was like
Welcome
making
back
it in
to the-
response to like getting into anime, which is I guess
Yeah.
is cool. He's like
and maybe we can watch this video afterwards. He'd also made a video about the guy who married Hatsune Miku, which is kind of based. Marrying Hatsune
Yeah,
Miku. I don't know
I
about the
know.
video itself.
Yeah, I don't know what the video is going to really talk about because like that dude's cool as hell. Like,
Hell yeah.
like, you
So I guess
gonna
maybe
complain about him?
after
Like,
that
he's
we can
cool-
watch.
He's cooler than you. Like
We can
maybe
watch that
some
video
married
maybe
Hatsune Miku.
afterwards.
We'll
So I
see.
guess that kind of like sets it up. I guess to like kind of like
Also,
set her.
Miku is not an anime character.
She's not technically. She's like, I guess like, anime Shoujo character design, however you want to
It's
phrase it.
Vocaloid, mom.
It's
It's Vocaloid.
but even beyond like the Lolicon stuff, there's going to be some weird things in this video that I feel like even if we didn't care about the Lolicon shit, we just address anyway. Specifically, well, you'll see. So, I don't know. We'll play the video, I guess. Let's see where the fuck
without
this goes.
further ado.
Yeah, some are quiet. and
Hello.
meat
You caught me
God,
land or
it's
being
loud.
whatever.
bookworm in my own house, which is fine. You see, I've been digesting a lot
Oh,
more
yeah, I gotta
anime
turn
I
this
play
shit
this at
down.
like 1.5 speed too, by the way.
Might as
Just
well, yeah.
for-
Fuck it, because
Just
yeah,
for the added.
Might as well, yeah.
yeah. Let's alienate people even more by just making the video unintelligible.
I don't know if he's pretty.
Also,
Turn on
yeah,
CC.
let me also put the subtitles up for people who may need those. There we go. Up
Yeah,
here is
they
fine.
basically have
Top
to be
left.
there, yeah.
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 But even more recently, after that, there was a guy named Vosh on the internet that just
Oh yeah, his delivery in this video. I don't really watch a ton of Meat Canyons like regular stuff like this. Usually just the animations, but his delivery in this video reminded me a lot of JonTron as well. So that was like something.
Actually,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, aside from what they're talking about, I did really like the concept of this. I guess where it's like talking to like a fucking animation. It's
Mhm.
kind of neat. It's a neat way to do it. think
I
it's an
find it
interesting way
neat.
to-
I don't like the I don't care for the comedy.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But yeah,
I like there's some.
concept,
It's less so.
the presentation conceptually is nice.
Yeah.
What I found, I guess briefly touched on the comedy, or maybe we'll get to it when we get to it. Is I don't find the Colonel Sanders bit, like the character, funny. I find more so his like straight man reactions funny.
Yeah, yeah,
just leave all of his Lolicon art on his
All right, yeah. So yeah, this is just everything that the story so far.
all of media in general. So today, I just want to be fully transparent. We're talking about Lolicons. If you don't know what a Lolicon is, it's about guys who they like anime girls that are 8 to 10 years old. And they
Okay.
We're talking-
Okay. Hold on.
All right, so we're already. I mean, I get okay. This is the thesis statement. We haven't gotten into the core arguments yet.
Well, fundamentally, we're already at an impasse here because like that's not what that is.
Right. That's true. Well, if we're going to say like 8 to 10 years old, then it's like, well, we're going to spend a lot of time addressing like the whole, what is it, like 1,000-year-old dragon lolly thing.
which is one of his main arguments.
Right. So then it's like, what's going
Well,
on?
it's not
here?
even like ignoring, not even getting into that. Like lolly is not really even defined by like their age. It, like
No.
No,
It's defined by the body type.
right.
And
The way
it's
the
never-
character
it's-
looks.
It's never been defined by age,
No.
Like it doesn't
like throughout its history.
like you don't call what's that one short that like is about like a girl who's like in the body of an adult or whatever, and it's like overly sexualized and fucking kind of weird.
Marvelous Melmo?
No, it's not Marvelous Melmo. Fuck. I wish I knew. I wish I knew what the fuck. But like, just because like a character is like a young character, and then you like turn them into an adult, like visually, that doesn't like make it lolly because it's like it's disassociated from their age.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the whole thing with like a Yoko from Gurren Lagann's like canon age is like, what is it, like 14 or something?
Mhm.
I'm like-
Jesse's age in Pokemon is like 16, and I'm like, no, it's not.
I'm okay with like
No, it's not.
saying that they're visually child coded. I guess if you want to go about that way, I think that's like because like
Right.
we have
Well,
to,
get in-
like,
well, there,
we
I
have
think
to
there are issues with that
contextualize
too, but I
this.
understand what you mean.
Yeah,
the
we have to
flame war begins.
contextualize this as like this is coming from the most normie fucking perspective ever,
Right.
and it's like you have to like meet them where it's like if they you know, I'm fine with them taking issue with it if they take it in like that direction where it's like, yeah, visually this is clearly presenting something like this. It's like, okay, sure.
Well, I don't know. Maybe let's. It'll depend how deep we get into, like, I don't know, Sausurian semiotics or a Lacanian psychoanalysis. But there's, I mean, right off the bat, there's a funny point he makes.
So if you don't like that, I just want to put that right up front, just in case you don't like it. But I do think
Yeah.
it's a very fascinating, depraved, disgusting piece of the internet that I think would be lovely to talk about because these little cockroaches are hiding in plain sight. And I think that it might be good to get down to, I mean, how the hell did we even get here?
Editing's pretty
Cockroaches.
good.
So I do want to say I do have a surprise because I want to take a step back and talk about all the different facets of anime, the different kinds. Because anime, it could appeal to your dad.
Okay. All right.
It could appeal to your younger brother.
Okay. So I guess there's gonna be like a general sort of like introduction. I guess for people who don't know what the fuck anime is somehow still in the year of our Lord 2024.
You
But-
maybe don't need a 1.5.
I mean,
Maybe.
he has a big channel and like he makes cartoon videos.
That's fair.
Or he makes cartoons, I guess.
But then we're
So
gonna
I
run into
don't
an issue
take
where
it
it's
as-
the some of the things he's gonna say here are going to be like very head scratching to say the least.
Yeah.
Although I feel like I maybe I skipped something here. Like right at the beginning, I think he brings up like Akira Toriyama.
And I do think that it's one of the most...
Oh no, I know what part. I know where it's at now. Yeah, no, here, no, we're about to get into that.
Cockroaches.
Yeah.
Your younger brother, he's going to be here today to of Akira Toriyama, the master mangaka.
Video's a little quiet. I'll turn the video up. Yeah, so he brings up Akira Toriyama, author of Dragon Ball and Dr.
Dragon
Slump.
Ball and Dr. Slump, yeah.
And I don't know if that's the guy you want to go to in your video where you're condemning Lolicon, given
Well,
some,
he does. He falls into that trapping a number of times in this video because it's like,
Yes.
like he likes the things that are like aesthetically like pretty normie and like masculine or whatever, like fucking Dragon Ball and spoiler, I guess, slight for Berserk. But these things are also potentially more guilty of what he's like complaining about than some of the other stuff.
right. See, it's like if you brought up Hayao Miyazaki, it's just like, oh no, that's a dangerous thought, Miyazaki. I agree with Meat Canyon's point. Like, I am against Lolicon, but I bet he's out of his realm. So it's one of those things where you can have. I think you can have critiques of Lolicon. It's not above, like, it's not like outside of the realm of criticism. But I think what's the issue is that we're kind of just wheel spinning, where we keep making people who are both like for and against it keep making the same sort of dog shit arguments in perpetuity, and there's no like deeper discussion of the subject matter in order to maybe make more salient critiques as a result.
I mean, it never really goes anywhere because it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about in the first place.
Right.
Like, if you're for it, then you're seen as the bad guy. If you're against it, then you have to talk about like pedophilia. And like, who wants to talk about pedophilia?
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's an uncomfortable topic. Most
And
normal
because of
people.
the fact that it's uncomfortable, they will never concede to any points, and then just go.
Yada 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 yada.
It's also not something you really want to research, like if you're against it, because like,
right. Do you want to type that into Google?
bliss.
Well, that's something
Yeah.
I wrote a little bit about it, but like the idea here with a lot of anti-lolicon stuff is interesting because they have to make cat Christ. They have to make concessions somewhere, right? And that's a big thing. They have to make concessions to talk about it.
Yes.
They are against it, and they refer to it as just straight up, like, I mean, like he already has in the first 2 minutes, straight up pedophilia, yada yada,
Yada
whatever,
yada yada.
right?
Child porn, etc.
Yeah, etc. Right? So they directly sort of condemn it as such a severe and damnable thing, right? But then they have to make concessions because they want to talk about it, and then they show it. So there's a concession there that they make in their head.
Right. Well, it's like that. What's that one bit where it's like it's like I forget the comedian, but he's like he said like the word like midget or something, and like his boss like reprimanded him. He's like, we can't say that word on TV. It's like saying the N word. It's like just as bad. And he's like, no, because we're saying the word midget and we're not saying the word N word. So it's like, yeah. Oh yeah. And for the record, by the way, part of this controversy surrounding Vosh is like he's made really just awful points regarding like basically saying like child porn is like ethical under capitalism or something, like it's no worse than your smartphone, which is like
he's made arguments like that, but he's also made anti-lolicon arguments, which is just like
it's like, come on, dog,
pick a lane, like
So he's literally the dude that's like going after gays and then like tapping his foot under the stall.
Well, we'll talk about stuff like that in a bit, I guess, when we talk about like I guess conservative perspectives on sexuality that tend to crop up when talking about this. So
real quick, can you move your subtitles say like a half an inch to the left?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. They're kind of like a little bit right next to the chat. Yep. There we go.
Can we increase the opacity up to like 75% on the Lolly Requiem?
Yeah. Let me see here. Where the fuck I put the damn thing?
Maybe even 80%.
Filters. Well, it doesn't work like that in OBS. It's not like a percentile thing. It's like a slider number thing. So let me.
I really like that Hayes shapes in it, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, they can't see it on the
I
screen.
actually
I like this. I like
that's opaque enough.
I believe
subtitles
it's
are really small.
January.
Oh, people have no idea what the fuck.
patch.
Why are you talking about this on stream when it's not on stream?
I'm sorry.
Good lord! Now I have to give people visual context for the fucking thing, you asshole. There, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Why would we do this?
Anyway.
Babes.
All right, back to the video.
Back to the video. So yeah, he brings up Akira Toriyama here, and I'm just thinking like, man, remember how Chi-Chi looked in Dragon Ball?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking like more schemy to me than like a lot of shit. Like even the Dragon Maid shit that he's talking about later on.
He's gonna talk about panty shots.
Dog.
He's gonna talk about panty shots in Sailor Moon coming up. And all I was thinking of is the trailer for when G-Kids recently, or not recently, but like about a year ago, released Panda Go Panda, that early Isao Takahata Hayao Miyazaki joint, and how many fucking panty shots are in that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's worse?
Bulma flash her pussy like within the
That's
first
what I was saying. What's
episodes?
worse? Like fucking panty shots or like Bulma's ass hanging out when she like flashes Master Roshi?
Bulma tries to flash her underwear, but she doesn't actually have underwear on, so she flashes her bare body, which is not actually like a fetish thing. Like that's like it's a raunchy joke.
It's a crass comedy thing, right?
It's a crass comedy thing.
But it's still like, I don't know, if under this framework, I don't think that would excuse it. Right.
Exactly. Like if you're working on this framework, you can't really excuse it. Like you can't make this concession and like that's okay. So under this framework, the man that he's talking about right here, the legend mangaka, he's not okay either.
Right. He hasn't seen Dragon Ball. That's you think he's just someone who's only seen Z? I guess that's completely possible.
I
And
wouldn't be
might be.
surprised if Arale-chan was like really popular with Lolicon people either.
It's
That's a
hugely
good
popular
question.
in Japan.
It is
It's-
really
it's- and
popular in
it's-
Japan.
It's had far more staying power than it has in the West.
Well, I don't think it had any staying power. I don't
Or
even know
any
if it's really
staying
been
power,
brought
yeah,
over
like-
properly.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. So like that's the thing. Like it has a far more staying power than like people I think ever
Right.
know about.
No
Like,
one
you
knows what
still
the fuck
see-
we're talking about, though. So let's continue with the video.
Created Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Dragon Ball, yeah. And then he goes to
He
open
did
the
do
door.
those.
Skip the animation.
Hold on, I need to actually no. There's.
I feel like we need to show the beginning of the animation.
I mean, if you're going,
uh,
if you're talking about the where he's.
Guide us into the medium as a whole.
I mean, the video is only 20 minutes. I don't
There's a
see
knock
a
on
way
the
we
door.
can't just
And kind
watch
of
it.
guide us into.
we
No,
kind of
because
like
it's-
skip around just so we're not
No,
playing.
yeah,
Dragon
yeah.
Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
Sure.
so it's like. Because these are just the same manga, right? Dragon Ball. There's just Dragon Ball, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z
Right.
doesn't exist in the manga.
Right.
Dragon Ball Z is an anime production thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Have
Then
you heard of
explain
it?
this
He's
manga.
gonna be here today.
They did, I believe, release some volumes, like probably later on, because like then it kind of became known as Dragon Ball Z, like the second arc, like the second kind of
Right.
half, kind of became known
Um,
as Dragon Ball Z. So like I think later on manga was released as Dragon Ball Z, but yeah, like originally like it's all just Dragon Ball.
Oh, hello now. What the fuck,
Mind the
man?
chicken, will you?
Hey, who the hell are you? Hey, come here.
That's a cool Rodan helmet, though. God damn.
So yeah, Colonel Sanders is in this video for some reason. I have no goddamn idea why it's Colonel Sanders. I'm gonna be quite honest with you, but
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny.
I mean,
well
again, I
implemented,
think
like,
his
the voice
reaction
code
is
in the video.
funnier than Colonel Sanders. Like, watch, like,
No, I mean, like
Yeah.
the concept of like, oh, I invited Akira Toriyama, but I just got Colonel Sanders is like kind of funny.
right? No,
Which
that's
is
funny.
like so off the wall. It's like, oh, what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, which again is like, how long did this video take to make? How long has he been cooking for?
I mean, I have a-
Maybe he's just really good at animating.
I don't know.
And if you know anything
He
about
makes
anime,
he
I'd love
cranks
to
out
know.
videos, so I
Yeah.
wonder if they have
Well, I
if
think
he just
they,
has people under him.
yeah. Well, there's like, 'cause,
usually,
yeah,
usually he
there's
credits
a
animators on the videos
yeah,
himself.
there's an editor credited here.
There's an editor, but that's not an animator. So
Prolapse
I'm like,
cam operator. Oh lord, Jesus
so
Christ.
I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how he cranks out shit fast. Apparently he does. So
He has a work ethic far better than ours. Here we are just doing shitty reaction content to stuff that he and his editors have poured hours of days of their lives into.
That's why I don't want to like play it in full.
Right, yeah.
Just-
I mean, like I said, go watch the video. It's actually, 20 minutes, fairly concise, yada, yada, yada. But here we're going to get a rundown of what the different kinds of anime are. And I'm sorry, but Colonel Sanders here is fucking saying a lot of nonsense, as we're about to see.
yeah.
I'm quite well versed in the art of anime. You have the shonen genre, which means young boy with action-based plots that
Genre?
typically have a centric story.
Yeah,
with
that's the
increasing-
first issue. Not a genre.
It's not a genre. It's a demographic
The demographic
in which there's a lot of different things.
Doesn't have a lot of staying power. Doesn't actually have a lot of power over what the genre like. What the
Ancient
stories
Magus Bride
are.
is a shonen manga.
Yeah.
Where's the young boy in that doing like action shit? All I saw was a girl who gets bought as a slave and she's fucking depressed. And maybe he gets groomed.
Hell yes. It's
Yeah, they-
Twilight for anime, which means it's better.
Oh no, just join. What the hell is this? It's a lot. Yeah, this is you're you're good.
Yeah,
Uh.
I really like. I don't know. It's hard to maybe. This might sound gatekeepy, but like, fuck it, whatever. The way that he talks about anime in this video is like, dog, your opinion doesn't matter to me now. Like,
Right.
You
I'm
don't
gay.
like,
What is this?
he shows like the obvious facts that he doesn't like understand anything.
Right.
I mean,
Art and
in a way, it's like it's because it's like painting his perspective, right? Like, obviously, he's coming from it from like
Layman perspective.
someone that has like no fucking like knowledge of this shit.
Sure.
So like it kind of informs like where his position is coming from, which is I just
It
kind of
does.
shrug.
But I do find like you can have a disagreement about like preference of comedy here, right? But like I do have kind of an issue with a type of video like this where it's like, okay, is the Colonel Sanders his opinion or is it a code switch?
Right. Or is this meant to be? I think
What
it's
is the
meant to be serious.
mouthpiece?
This is meant
What
to
is the
be
mouthpiece?
informative, I believe.
I think it
'Cause
is.
He's saying shit that's not obviously, that's not wrong enough.
Exactly, right? Like yeah, exactly. Like Shounen is battle. Like that's what a normie is going to think anyways.
Right, yeah.
He
So, like-
clearly just doesn't know what this is.
So it's like, is the Colonel Sanders bit? It just kind of, I feel like, distracting. I don't know.
Pals, you know, like your Dragon Balls and your Demon Slayer. You
Dragon
know what
these
I'm
balls on
talking
your
about.
face.
I do like those. I'll be honest, I do like those quite a bit.
Then there's Shoujo, meaning young girl, which are plots for girls like Sailor Moon or slice of life anime like The Melancholy of Haruhi.
Yeah.
Melancholy Haru Suzumiya, the greatest shoujo.
It's Haruhi is not
This
neither
reminds
a
me of that one
manga.
image that like lists all of the demographics except Josei, obviously. And for
Yeah.
Shoujo, it's like rent a girlfriend, Horimiya, and like something else.
What? Huh?
Have you not seen that?
No, but like, yeah, Haruhi is not a shoujo manga. It's not even a manga. It's a fucking light novel.
It
So
got
we might have
adapted
a-
into a manga.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might have a manga now, like
It
adapted like after the anime.
let's see.
Like the third adaptation.
I'm curious. Yeah, let's see if there's a manga adaptation. Okay, there is. Let's see. Katawa
Yeah, there's
Shoten
several. I do know they have a
Shonen Ace.
disappearance of Yuki-chan.
It's a shonen manga.
Of
Because
course
you
it's
can
shonen.
you can publish fucking anything, honestly, in like shonen and seinen manga like publications.
Was there-
Probably even like the case for like Shoujo and Josei as well, but I'm not as familiar with those, so I'm not gonna make that claim.
Yes, my favorite shoujo manga from monthly Shonen Ace.
So yeah, and also yeah, so then it's like, okay,
Girls like Sailor Moon or slice of life anime like The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
and you know,
It's funny. It's funny hearing you say these things, I'll be completely honest.
But of course, you can't forget Seinen, which is anime for teens.
Seinen.
You know what I'm talking about, the youngsters. Typically, more action-based with more thorough plot and things that appeal to that kind of audience. You know.
So
once again, I must
Attack on
bring
Titan's
up
shonen.
manga time Kirara. Also, yeah, Attack on Titan is shonen.
well, I also I think something to be brought up here is shonen
Seinen.
is extended into teenage boys. Like
Right.
shonen is not necessarily for like 5-year-old boys. Or something
No,
like
it's
that.
not.
Like it's for young boys. Like yeah. Sweet
So
home.
just to give everyone an example, just to clue everyone in on this, this is a fucking shonen, like a fucking seinen manga.
Yeah.
Let's
Hey,
now you're like, oh well, it must be published for like one of those fucking like, you know, cutesy magazine and you just have like, you know, cutesy stuff like Manga Time Kirara. No, it is not. You want to know what She's Sweet Home, this cute little thing about a cat, is this little fucking thing. Let's take a look at what was publishing in the same magazine at the same time. Here we got in the 2000s. We can see She's Sweet Home, and let's see if there's any other like stories that we may recognize in here.
Hyogemono.
Hyogemono.
Hyogemono, definitely not a cute show.
Is it pain?
Vagabond, okay, that's not really cute. Planetes, yeah. Zepang was on here somewhere, so honestly, if there's anything I wanted more out of anime discourse, it would honestly just be like the end of using shonen and seinen as like signifiers of anything really significant
Yes.
because
Yeah.
they're so empty. Again, you can publish. There's such a wide variety in Shonen and Seinen magazines that it's like they're empty when you try to use them as like genre terms.
That's something I actually brought up. Like a reason why I brought up like Shounen and Shoujo in like what's it called? My Death
What's
March
Michael's
video.
Seinen?
Like Death March video, right? Is that there is like a idea here about demographics, because if we're using demographics as like indicators of story,
Yeah.
where does that actually like draw any lines? And with something like Naruto stuff, like from Sosatsuka ni Naruto, we can actually see like a real like obvious and obvert like narrative lines are drawn because of the demographics of these stories are written for.
Right. Yeah.
Which
I guess
are,
a key
office
thing to know with
workers, adults.
like Seinen manga, Seinen magazines as well, is that some of them will also just have like gravure shit in it, like just like scantily clad women on the covers and like inside alongside manga as well.
Berserk
these
has
aren't-
gone in issues, or not issues, but like I think I've seen tweets or some shit like that where like Berserk, like people have tried to cancel Berserk for being with like gravure models or something like that, like
That's absurd.
or something
That's
absurd
so-
like that. Yeah, I remember seeing something where someone had issue with that. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I think something like Welcome to the NHK. I don't think Welcome to the NHK is a shonen. Did it have? I don't think
does
it have a manga adaptation?
It does. I'm
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Basically,
then, yeah.
everything has a manga adaptation.
I
even
guess
if it's-
so.
Manga
yeah, let me-
adaptation is a lot easier to do than anime.
Yeah.
So let's be clear about this then. Something like Welcome to the NHK, really dark, really fucked up, shonen manga. Bocchi the Rock, K-On, seinen manga. Do we understand? These terms are meaningless. I think everyone in chat understands it. In case someone is watching this like later down the line and are like, I don't get this. It's like these are kind of like empty terms.
It's just it's annoying because it's only used when it's like, oh, this is something I like. This is shonen, but this is something I also like. This is seinen. But
Hard
like no one's
shonen,
ever
yeah.
like, my favorite seinen is K-On.
Right.
So
yeah.
that's the thing. That's something that's kind of something to bring up in general with this video is a part of the distinction he makes here, and I think people like this will make is just what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah.
He
well,
talks
that's the issue with
Haruhi
the
is a
last
shoujo,
video.
which it's not. First of all,
It's not.
First of all, it's from a fucking light novel, so
It's a light novel, and it had a manga adaptation and a shonen manga publication.
and then second of all, if you're talking about if you want to like damn again like the Dragon Ball Z comparison, if you want damn like sexualization of minors, that has plenty of it. So I don't
Right.
where's the line drawn, right? Like
I don't know. Like yeah,
Maybe
if
he just wants
Haruhi
to
is over the line, if Sailor Moon is over the line, Haruhi is certainly over the
because he
line.
goes into Sailor Moon, so it's like why you mention Haruhi like it's innocent?
Right? Yeah. When in
So
reality, you're with this kind of, I guess, purity testing, you're gonna have a hard time finding anyone innocent working in the anime industry. Again, Hayao Miyazaki, no. What about Mamoru Hosoda? He made like pretty like wholesome movies like Summer Wars, Wolf. No, definitely not Mamoru Hosoda. If you know what excerpt from a magazine I'm thinking of when I'm talking about Mamoru Hosoda just openly speaking about his fucking degeneracy, then yeah, if you know, you know. And if not, you could probably easily find it. God bless Ahoba on Twitter.
It's a dangerous reference you're making there.
It's a dangerous.
Saigon.
Let's continue.
Like Berserk. Yeah. Okay. Lassa, you.
Again. Seinen.
Yeah.
Is he gonna bring up Josei?
I mean, again,
Yes, but he's gonna do it in a confusing way.
He do.
Josei, the farther least spoken
Josei.
of
Oh, wow.
anime for women, the women folk, older baby carriers, as they say. It discusses a boring adult
I don't. Okay.
topics like marriage,
Nana
sex,
is-
and family.
Nana
Not
is Nana's shoujo.
not Nodame Cantabile, which he's
It's
not actually referenced.
Josei if they're adult women. Shut up. Your nuance means nothing to me.
Well, see, I think the problem is like they've read
Hey,
Josei is targeted toward adult women,
Yeah.
and so they are now retroactively assigning the title of Josei to anything that they think appeals to older women.
Yes.
So like
This is something
Nodame
Should be
Katsumile.
mentioning Otome
This is something
games.
huge with terms, right? This is something huge
Yeah.
with terms. It's like the calling isekai, like things isekai from like the 90s, right?
Right.
It's the same thing. Like now this is a term I know now, so now I'm going to retroactively apply it inappropriately where I see fit.
A few other things. One, these screenshots are really low quality too. Is this Bungo Stray Dogs? What is this
I
one?
don't know
I'm
what
trying-
that is.
Those like
That
Aqua almost.
Ristorante Paradiso, whatever that show is called.
Yeah, it does look like that. That might be why this fucking, which is a fucking weird. Like, why the fuck would they reference that of all fucking things?
Well, I mean, it's the editor picking all of these, so
Yeah.
I'm not even going to blame this on Meat Canyon, really. Like, it's probably just the editor being.
I
Like,
guess, maybe, yeah. Well, because like,
I guess.
well, but also like we can blame it like for what Mr. Sanders is saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I
All
muted
the
it.
stuff those broads like to talk about. You know what I'm saying. I really don't like how you said older women like that, like you were disgusted, if I'm being completely honest. But honestly, that was not expected. You're like a goddamn walking lexicon of anime. I mean, this is sick. I mean, I guess maybe the video is saved after all. Well, sweet. I mean, I guess I have to ask, do you know anything about lollies at all, or?
I like the candy, but I do favor a nice bulk.
Yeah. So we're just gonna. I don't care about the comedy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wide spectrum of anime, and Lolicon comes from the style of anime known as lolly. First of all,
I do want to mention, by
Okay.
the way, that autism joke. It's one of those things. I think we'll probably get into it, but he talks about this from a moralizing perspective, right? Like he
So
set
it is
the
kind
moral-
of if you're
the
gonna be making
moral-
edgy jokes, it kind of undercuts your point.
Yeah, like he set the tone in the start of the video as a moral argument, right? Like
Right.
this is a gross and bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Which,
he just
Which is
slides in,
not really
like,
how you want to go about it either. Like, if you're
Which,
gonna
like-
present an argument, then present it and be fair with it. If you're just gonna be like,
fair. Yeah.
it's like going into a game review or something and being like, "This game fucking shook my fucking Kaga Dookie bullshit." Like, that's not how you want to start a movie review or anything.
Angry
Basically,
video
like,
game
you get
nerd. What
to,
are you
like,
doing
every,
here?
It's like every moist critical video. Like that's the thing. Like, yeah, he starts off the moralizing tone, and then goes into it. But it's like Meat Canyon or PapaMeat. Do you know what content you make?
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can criticize animation for having quote unquote gross things.
apologize for that. Oddly enough, as Colonel Sanders did say, there's such a wide spectrum of
Yeah,
anime,
pot, meat,
and
kettle, yada, yada.
Lolicon comes from the style of anime known as lolly. First,
Okay.
Mm,
That's not. Lolly is not a style of anime.
What?
Lolly, yeah, that's what he says.
It's not?
No, it's not. Lolly is like a character archetype.
oddly enough,
Yeah, it's
as
a style
Colonel
of
Sanders
character.
did say,
It's
there's
a
such wide
database
spectrum
element.
of anime, and
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what.
Yeah, so yeah, there's not such a thing as lolly anime. There's, I guess you could say there's Shoujo anime. Kinda, but
I
even
mean,
then,
there's
Shoujo
literally
character.
Lolita anime.
right?
I
There's
remember that one.
there are two.
Shoujo cassette?
there are two lolly anime.
Yeah.
Is that Shoujo?
But yeah, and then he's so. Well, I guess what he
Lolicon
says.
comes from the style of anime known as lolly. First of all, lolly means a young or young-looking girl character in Japanese anime or manga. So the term lolly
Yeah, he
Okay.
shows those characters where I'm like, I don't really think those are lollies.
No.
I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where, like, okay, what are we defining Lolicon as? Because if we're just going to define Lolicon as any young girl, then it's just like, okay, is every anime Lolicon then?
Right. You know, every
Is
Spirited Away
Spy Family Lolicon work?
is
I
basically
don't
every,
know. I haven't seen it, so
again, every Hayao
answer
Miyazaki
that.
movie.
every Hayao Miyazaki movie. It's like, I don't know. There's
The answer to that is
different.
yes. Does he at least bring up Kodomo no Jikan? I don't think so.
The term lolly
Spoilers,
just
no.
means it's like a
Written
young
by a
looking
woman.
girl. That's where that comes from. But Lolicon focuses on young female characters in suggestive and erotic content.
I think it was Greg who mentioned it.
Okay,
earlier,
no,
but he said that most like Lolicon artists are women or writers. authors,
A
whatever.
ton of them.
would-
Yeah, a ton of them. I don't know if it's
A lot of
most,
them are.
but-
I don't know about like most,
lot of
but
them.
certainly a sizable portion. Or again,
A
I think
ton.
it's also worth pointing out that like most doujinshi circle members that attend Kamiket are women.
Yes.
Um,
Actually,
A
the
lot of
first-
them also draw Shota.
Yeah.
Clamp got their start doing Captain Tsubasa doujins. I haven't read any of them, so I don't know if they're pornographic or not. But
Ghibli must be lolly
Yeah.
central in his eyes. I don't think it is. But he defines
So-
lolly. So he defines lolly as just young girl characters, but then he defines lolicon as like sexually suggestive or like erotic
so I
content
think part of the
featuring young girl
problem
characters.
is like he's taking con as like content, so it's like lolly content. So like
oh,
it's content focused on the quote unquote lolly character, right?
But I think it brings up a Lolita complex at one point, and like that's just what it is. It's just a portmanteau of
Right.
Lolita
But I don't
complex.
think they quite understood.
Well, this is
it's,
why
like,
this is why it's
complex.
important to like cite your sources for this sort of thing. So it's like, where are
Great
you getting
point.
this definition from?
Yeah, because the answer is he's getting it from random sources he saw through Google.
Right. Yeah. So
And
it's
he's
like,
not
well, what are
citing,
those?
he's not placing where his research is from. He's not making a lineage of or
Yeah.
a proper bibliography.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we don't really know where the fuck he's getting this from.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I don't. Yeah.
Male
Amalgamation
equivalent
of a
this is
top 5
called
links.
Shotacon. It's basically, I mean, it's just pedophilic anime. There's no really easy way of batting around
Cool,
the bush
dude.
with. The term comes from the 1955 novel Lolita,
Okay.
which is about a middle-aged man falling in love with a 12-year-old girl. Which, yes,
Which we
is
could
also the
assume most
Stanley
of this is from
Kubrick film,
Wikipedia, I
Lolita, and
guess.
It was adapted.
I
in the
guess,
90s
yeah.
as well, and it's a lot more graphic. Just want to put that out there. So if you're a big film buff and someone's like, let's watch the 90s Lolita, keep an eye on that guy. That's all I gotta say. But it does have Jeremy Irons. He's the voice of
Why
Steve,
not?
so guy's good.
I don't know. I mean, there's probably like
Can we not watch that movie? Like, is he making a?
He's making.
I think I remember
Core
Core telling me
guess.
that he was watching Taxi Driver with one of his friends, and like one of the characters in Taxi Driver is like an actual child who like gets
yeah.
into
I believe that's
prostitution in the
yeah.
film.
That's Jodie Foster, isn't it? Jodie Foster was like a child prostitute and Taxi Driver. I mean, there are more
Yeah,
fucked
I
up
haven't
things
seen the
than
movie,
like
but,
Taxi Driver, or I've not seen the
directed that movie?
90s.
It's like
Taxi
some-
Driver.
Notable dude, yeah.
Some guy is I think like
Is that
Martin
Scorsese?
Scorsese or yeah. So I think I think he's like a well-known director.
Yeah. So
Whatever.
yeah,
Mhm.
you're not allowed to like Scorsese. I
Yeah,
guess.
I think he's like made some like popular movies. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Bozo.
Boomer.
But yeah, I mean, there's also stuff like Kids, which if you know what the movie Kids is, written by who's the guy who directed Gummo? That guy.
Yeah.
That guy. The guy who directed Gummo wrote this movie called Kids, and the way that movie starts off is horrifically inappropriate.
Harmony Korine.
Harmony Korine, where it's like an actual like 12-year-old girl like barely clothed making out with a guy in a bed, and that's how the fucking movie starts, and it's like, don't do that.
Is he going to talk about the Japanese fashion aesthetic? No.
No, he will not.
Yeah, but the real
That's-
problem is lollies. It's not, child actors.
It's
getting
not
into problematic
child gravure idols, because I think
Yeah,
that's still
yeah, that
they may
too.
have actually criminalized
Child
that
idols.
in Japan. Or there's like, I don't know, I think there are loopholes around.
No,
that's like a really fucked up
that's-
thing.
That's not that was a lot of the reworking of like child porn laws in Japan was
In
from.
Japan, okay. Well, I remember hearing there's still like workarounds or stuff like that, where like these like people are still
Maybe.
making shit like that. Yeah, that's like the real fucked up stuff. But no one talks about that because that's not like one of Japan's like main cultural exports.
That's true, but also I feel like once they start talking about it, it gets really racist quickly, as if there's no other issues. Like it falls into Orientalism very
It
quickly.
can very
right?
easy
Because-
fall into Orientalism. Yeah,
Because it's
and
like,
this
oh,
video
Japan has a
kinda-
pedophilia problem.
The
like
video
Vice-
will. This
like
video
Vice
will also
video.
kind of fall into that a little bit, unfortunately, as
Mhm.
we'll see in a bit.
Good voice. I don't know what to tell you. Nothing wrong with cute girls, Mr. Hancock. Nothing wrong with cute girls at all.
We can.
One cute character doesn't mean that you like lolly
Okay.
thing. Just because you like lolly content doesn't mean that you like
Again-
lolicon stuff, right? Like,
Again, we're confusing the weed. Like we're
Yeah.
we're deep in the weeds, right? Like
Right.
what he's really referring to is moe,
Moi, yeah.
but he doesn't want to
Essentially.
use that word because he wants to describe it as young girls.
I don't know if he knows that word.
I don't know. He may not
Maybe,
know.
maybe he doesn't know the word, but like the fact that he's constantly describing this as a lolly almost sort of problematizes like everything here
Yeah, American
Well,
Child Beauty
so-
Pageants.
from
Yeah,
his
exactly. Slad.
perspective.
I think this was like indicative of that level of like engagement, because like I always think back to the fucking like stupid green text story about the guy who like accidentally let slip like how their like niece was like a cute lolly or something, and like their family
the fuck?
flipped the fuck out, and they're like, this fucking pedophilic. Because like I guess one of the uncles or somebody fucking knew what lolly was. It's
Yeah.
like this perception that lolly is just like that, like it's
Right.
just like children or whatever. It's like it's not it's not that, like like it's this weird disconnect, because like you are engaging with something with like some level of like knowledge of what it is, but not like a full like understanding of it. And
Right.
so you're kind of like again, you're retroactively like trying to like retrofit it into shit that doesn't work.
Again, so yeah, he's distinguishing between lolly content and lolicon based on like, I guess, like the amount of like sexuality in these works, but I would argue that doesn't really matter, where you could have completely like unsexual works like K-On! That then are also, you know, very sexualized by its fan base precisely because of how not sexual it is. That's kind of like part and parcel of the appeal of this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's weird that he's like applying this
Yeah.
mentality to anime when it's more like, not that there aren't anime that are kind of geared toward these things, but it's more geared toward like the fan works and dojinshi
Right, yeah.
and
well,
like
it's-
you know, circles of like what people create on their own more so than like the actual industry itself.
like you can like big
this subject is too complicated for this guy. Yeah, well, it's too complicated for a 20-minute video to like cover in its entirety. Like he's not even going to make like any arguments in terms of like whether or not it should be illegal. Just the argument in this video is whether or not lolicon is pedophilia, and obviously, you know, we're coming from the perspective that this is no, it's not. And I guess we'll get into like arguments that we would make in a bit. But yeah, there's like a whole like a lot of stuff that goes into like things like this, that it's like, yeah, it's such a complicated topic.
big, goofy, fun, cute characters. I mean, personally, I don't. You know, you've seen the stuff I make, but you can like that kind of stuff. But it's just whenever you get into the aspects of sexualizing it. I mean, good example, Sailor Moon. I had a buddy who loved watching Sailor Moon back in the day. Cute girls, whatever, and then you got those panty shots. I mean, whenever you're a kid, I think I was like 9 at the time or something like that.
I don't know, because like, would it be any better without the panty shots? Because it's like they're still like very sexualized, like the short skirts, long legs, like the sailor uniforms, the transformation sequences, all that shit. It's like it doesn't just start and
I
end
think
with
I
like
remember seeing a
overt
quote
sexual
from
imagery
Naoko
of like panty shots.
Takeuchi that like part of the design philosophy was that she wanted to create like strong female characters that would be attractive to boys who wanted to be dominated by them.
That's kind of based.
I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were kind of talking about on Sunday regarding like the sexuality of like the West, and like how people like. There's actually someone that left a comment that was like, they had like a Norwegian friend that was like, Western American men have never seen their grandma naked, kind of thing, and it was like indicative of like how like prude, I guess, our culture was, and like how
Conservative, yeah.
yeah, and how like puritanic we are with like the human body, where
Right.
you know you can't you can't even like bathe with a family member without it being kind of like giving someone the ick because it's like sexualized or something.
Which again,
Um,
like how many scenes in Dragon Ball is Goku naked with his cock and balls out?
Or I'm thinking along the lines of Kiki's delivery service. How many times do we see Kiki? Well, I guess they're not panties, they're
bloomers,
bloomers. Or
Yeah.
But,
like
like-
I don't know. There's like scene. I mean, there's scenes in like only yesterday where you see like the younger version of Taiko, like she's at like a hot spring or something. She's like swimming around and stuff, and it's like it's in all this shit. It's like, why are we only like the shit that we usually think is like quote unquote clean is just as dirty.
Yeah,
If
and
you're-
I talk
Especially
about
if you're
this.
defining it as any of this as that, right? Because if you're going to
Right.
define it like that, like well, okay, then he literally defined all young girls as lollies. So
Right.
Yeah.
in
Okay,
his
talk about-
framework, effectively, he's built that argument.
Right.
I mean, he is basically referencing Sailor Moon as a lolly.
Yeah.
But like I talk about this, but I am like it is a fair distinction to make that like obviously the panty shot is like meant to be titillating, right? It's not the
Mhm.
same as like even the Bulma reference about like her like flashing her ass. Like you could say that's titillating, but that's also like being presented in like a comedic way, like it's just crass humor kind of thing.
Mhm.
Goku like being naked is meant to be like humorous and like not being taken in like an erotic way. Like he didn't have like a fucking hard on running around, right?
Sure.
Obviously a panty shot is meant to be taken in an erotic kind of way, but like it's
But
not
again,
like this
Panda
is
go
like
Panda.
yeah. I mean, well, he's acting like it's like some kind of weird like niche thing. But like the bare naked ladies were talking about sexualizing fucking Sailor Moon in the
Boom
fucking
anime
90s.
babes. That make me think the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's been kind of culturally a thing. Like it's not like it's some
Right.
niche like corner of the internet.
Again, it's in Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Like,
Uses
that should be
attractive.
emphasized. One of the most popular anime ever made, Sailor fucking Moon. It's in like so many anime that you would think are like it was fucking Berserk. It's the same goddamn thing.
Oh,
There's
it's
there's
weird
like young girl
that,
characters in Berserk.
we have
Well,
like this
Berserk
double
has
standard.
Berserk has child rape.
Yeah. It's weird. It's just weird that we have this double standard where it's like, he will later like talk about a character. Oh, this is the 1,000-year-old lolly defense or whatever. So it's like, okay, you aren't accepting of like the visually child coded character
Hmm.
being an adult, and that making it okay. But then like the characters that aren't visually child coded and are like clearly developed are also not okay
Right.
because they're not of age, even though the age thing was
Like
not.
mentally, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like a weird kind of sequence of like goalposts kind of shifting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Like,
also
I
only really applied to female characters, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
There's a
didn't really.
gendered aspect to it as well.
Well,
He mentioned Shota, but like he didn't really get into it or anything.
doesn't really
It
get
was-
No.
into it. And there's
Shoto's
even
massively popular with women, and so is Lolly.
it's usually popular. And there's this thing about sexualization, right? Where it's like the female body is inherently sexual, therefore it's pornographic or therefore it's perverted. But then the fact that like a male's body is like will never be seen that way, even if it's
Right. It's a
deliberately
patriarchal thing, yeah.
like the fact is like Shotokan exists and it's hugely popular, but like these types won't actually ever go really against it because they don't care.
Right.
They're
Well,
like
see, I mean, it almost reminds me of like the trans panic bathroom thing, where it's like we don't want these people in the bathroom with our daughters. We need to make sure that these trans women use the men's bathroom. And it's like, why? If you think they're child molesters, they're just gonna go after your sons. How does that make anything any better? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Sam Ham made a
It's
point.
like I guess we're it's one of those things where it's like we must protect our daughters. Well, our sons, no, we can actually just send them off to war. that's
true,
perfectly
yeah.
fine.
Sam Ham made a point earlier about the 7,000-year-old lolly, dragon lolly, thing that's presented in this video. I think is interesting is that we talk about mental age, right? Which is of course an argument that they make a lot in terms of like trying to make a counter argument against it. Like, oh, the idea of a lolly that is 7,000 years old, which would be mentally mature, doesn't matter because they're still a child, yada yada, right?
Yeah.
Same Man made a great comparison, which is Rudeus from Mushoku Tensei, because he's an adult man in his 30s, dying and reincarnated as a baby in another world.
Yeah.
And he mostly in the story is depicted as a child.
Yep.
But people will still call him gross, perverted,
Or like a groomer,
groomer, yada yada. They'll still criticize him and demean him as that because mentally he's an adult.
Right.
So it's okay when it's Rudy. Rudy is an adult. Rudy's not.
Rudy's
not
mentally an adult. Yeah.
Rudy's not a child because Rudy's a male. Rudy's a pervert. All these things are conceptually and ideologically transform the meaning of that.
Right.
But once there's a lolly that's actually maybe a dragon, that's not okay. Nah, that's a child, bro. That's pedophilia, bro. You know, and it's just okay, well, why are these two things different?
I think it mainly just boils down to
mine from Bookworm. Yeah.
I think it just boils down to it's not logically coherent because it's based in feeling, right?
It's basically what gives you the ick.
Basically, yeah, because you're presenting a scenario, which I understand to a degree, right? I don't enjoy.
Well, it's I'm not gonna be like, no, you cannot find this gross or whatever. It's everyone has the fucking like a fetish shit that they find gross. That's perfectly normal.
Yeah, it's fucking onimai kind of thing, right? I don't enjoy that, but it's this a lack of awareness of the logical inconsistencies of it, where it's this you kind of approach it from different situations and I understand, right? Because it's a scenario that's being constructed that is just giving you the ick in general, so it doesn't really matter if it's logically consistent for you because you are presenting your feelings on it. Oh, this is the character being an adult in a child's body is clearly meant to appeal to people that want to be insidiously insert themselves with children. So that's bad. It gives me the ick. A woman with the body of a child is clearly meant to appeal to people who just want to be with children but don't want to cross the legal line. It's a legal lolly, right? So that gives me the it kind of thing. And it's just, I get it, but you also have to kind of realize there's not a coherency.
Well, I guess because they'll bring up Dragon Maid, he'll talk about the 1,000-year-old dragon lolly in Dragon Maid and stuff. He doesn't talk about the fact that there's Shota, the little boy in Dragon Maid, just gets repeatedly sexually abused by Lukoa,
which I literally his name is Shota.
Yes, and that's played off as a joke.
It is,
but we don't talk about that because
but as hell, right?
We don't talk about it because hey, he's lucky, all right. That's
you don't necessarily want to get into what aboutism. But
I think it can be revealing, I guess, of underlying mind. Well, because there is that divide, though.
It is revealing because it's based off gender. This is literally an issue of sex.
It is a gendered issue, and you do have high school teacher fucks student, and it's the teacher's a woman and the student's a guy.
An element of that.
And everyone's good for him. And it's
but in this specific instance, he might not even fucking know because I don't think he actually watched Dragon Maid.
It's entirely possible.
It's absolutely
When we get there, we'll kind of talk about it, but
right, I guess, yeah.
That whenever you see that, you're I don't really give a shit about a girl twirling.
What's that, Razor?
It appeals to that little boy audience, right? But here's the thing about Sailor Moon that with adult people, 14-year-old girl in the series, there's 170 panty shots in the show. I know that statistic because a guy online made a PDF document going through each episode where there is a panty shot.
Sources is not really cited, by the way, and just we can point that out.
Great detail.
Yeah, I did find it by just Googling it.
Right, but still,
there's it's a post from SailorMoonForm.com.
How many views does that H Bomber Guy video have?
Surely
16 million.
listen. Funny animator man. PapaMeat, he don't need a site. He's funny anime guy. He's funny cartoon guy. All right.
I'm just
Right.
making
About
videos for fun,
serious
bro. Where
things.
you gotta suck
It's
all the
just
fun out.
Well, you gotta suck all the fun. There's Colonel Sanders. What you do is fun.
Put the
I
link in
would
the description.
I want to be fair to him because it's like I think he does do that a bit in the sense of like when he's talking, like he mispronounces things. I'm sure that's like an intentional kind of choice where he's like, oh well, if I have Colonel Sanders say it in a funny Southern accent, him mispronouncing Seinen and Josei or whatever the fuck he said.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, there's an element of humor which could could indicate a code switch, but like we said earlier, like the stuff that Colonel Sanders says isn't too outlandish to be.
I just mean like I think there's an element where he is using humor to kind of cover up some of these mistakes, but like I don't know if he would necessarily shy away from like what he said because he seems pretty staunchly in against like lolly shit. So I don't think he'd be like, oh no, this was a joke. Kind of like he's not presenting the best information, but to be fair to him, I don't think he would like shy away from it. Like, oh well, I'm just making a funny video, dog. Like, you know.
What farms thread do I check for Null's opinion? Doesn't Jekko have a thread on Q? I think Jekko has. Because I think Null made that thread, if I remember that like thing correctly, where it's like he just got mad at him on Twitter, so that happened. You know, you get mad at someone on Twitter. Oh, I got doxxed. Whoops. I don't know, but when I hear this conversation, in my mind, these lolly characters all act submissive and reserved, like Rei and Ami. But if those characters acted more / have expressive masculine personalities, these people would be fine with them. Yeah, well, I guess like an example of that would be like Shinobu from Monogatari, where it's like she's not really like a submissive character by any means. Like she very much acts like an adult, and if you watch Kizu Monogatari, like there's not really much of a difference between how she acts in like her booba form in Kizu and then how she acts in like the rest of the series.
Well, an interesting example might be Arisa from Death March, because she's like Rudy is from Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah,
you know, is reincarnated as an infant in
Mine
the world.
from Bookworm again.
Mine from Bookworm, but Arisa is not submissive at all. She's extremely assertive, to the point of also maybe toxic manipulation. She literally tries to use magic to like manipulate people. She also is extremely sexual, but not in the sense of sexualized. She's sexual herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's an extreme element of sexuality to her character, but people still have an issue with it, despite the fact that she's assertive, that she's sexual of her own volition, and she's an adult, canonically, you know, an office worker, like a 40-year-old woman, like, right? She, you know, but it's not okay. It's still not okay, and Death March is still a creepy show because of it. Yada yada.
That reminds me of Neurality's bad Lolicon video and talked about Dragmaid being awful in Lolicon, but I'm sure she's never seen the show because Kana is never sexualized. I mean, she does. Okay, Neurality's does talk a little bit about like Kana's design and like, you know, the thigh highs and stuff. There's also the twister scene, but again, it's one of those things where it's like
scene. I wouldn't say
stuff doesn't need to, but it's like doesn't need like I said, it doesn't need to be overtly sexual. There's nothing really like overtly sexual about like Bocchi and Bocchi the Rock, but holy hell, have I seen a lot of porn from that show ever since it came out. So it's like, to a certain extent, the content of the show itself doesn't really matter in terms of how people are going to receive it. These characters just existing in the first place is almost like is like a sexual act in and of itself.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
There are the comments on the post of people being like, I'm disturbed that this is a file for download. So it's just, it's murky territory. You know what I mean? You start off with something that might be cute and innocent, and then you throw in like weird panty shots on 14-year-olds, and you kind of get some upskirt angles and things that are maybe a bit too sexual for comfort, and then you got a little fandom of creeps. Okay? Oh, my.
and then you have Studio Ghibli.
Well, I wanted to make just a comment here. I was a little interested to see what you guys think. Is he making an argument here that Sailor Moon is where Lolicon comes from?
I don't think so. I
No,
think he's making an
I think
argument that
he's-
Sailor Moon fans are creeps.
It's just a popular example
No, I think he's just. I think he's
that like his audience would know about.
Are
I think
they
he's
all
making like the
like?
slippery slope argument where he's like, "Oh, it's insidious because like, yeah, you're watching this cute, nice kids show for girls, and then they just keep slipping in these panty shots, and before you know it, there's just people defending them, and you got like this weird group of people watching this kids show."
Well, by an extension, you have like the panty shot argument too. Like, is that supposed to be indicative of like what would lead to someone becoming a lolicon? I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I could be completely overthinking it.
Again, like it's just weird that we're like making this argument for like Sailor Moon because Sailor Moon is not lolicon. Like you could definitely
No.
make a different argument about like it being kind of weird that they're sexually underage girls, which I think is what he's attempting to do. But like the
But
fact
we
that he's
can't conflate-
attributing it to
yeah.
lolicon when Sailor Moon's fucking like tall as
It's
shit.
in the name. It's Bishoujo. We're talking about two different character types, Loli
Yeah.
and Bishoujo.
Which
Bishoujo is in the name.
Shoujo does have
Again-
connection to Loli, but
Yeah. It
But
has,
again,
it
this
has a
is-
history, but they're
has a
different.
history. But they're
Yeah.
they're
If
different
anything, you could make an argument that Bishoujo is what killed the lolicon boom.
But again, this is him retrofitting like a term that just does not fit because of his
Right, yeah, because he's not really
malformed
looked
understanding.
into the history of the word.
Yeah.
I was thinking this weekend's episode would be about this video. You guys got around to this. I just added Moomy being like, hey, we should react to this on Sunday. He's like, no, let's do it now for clicks. And I'm like,
Yeah,
fucking okay.
It just came out 4 hours ago. You gotta
Yeah, why not? Well, it's
pitch
funny
back
because
on
I mean, we'll get to like the funny part about that when we get to it, I guess.
Of why I thought that this video was interesting is the defense. People that like this kind of stuff are on the defense all the time. And what's interesting from even the consumers and the creators is that people justify this because you're like, oh,
I don't know if he actually cites or mentions any creators by name, honestly.
you
Or, like,
know, it
anything
looks
they
like
say.
you're sexualizing a
So I don't know why we're
child.
talking about
Yeah.
the creators
Dude,
here.
He's a 7,000
yeah, he mentions creators here, and
No, you're zooming in on the wrong character. Meat said
No,
you're zooming in on the wrong character here.
It's 'cause it's a
older than you
baby.
and I. She's older than every person ever in your family combined, okay? I mean, she has more insight and maturity than anyone. And that's like one of the
I
big
mean,
differences, right?
that's-
people
The editor wouldn't know that, but that's not really what that one manga panel is.
Right. Well, it's just like a thing.
This is a joke, but
But again, it's kind of like, okay, so is the issue with the mentality? Is the issue with the body type? Because if it's the issue with the body type, I hate saying this because it feels gross to talk about women like this, but there are like women who like look like quote unquote little girls. I don't like saying that.
They're
but
short people.
appear younger than they
yeah,
I
even
think
though
that may
they're
be a
like
better way to put it.
even yeah, but they're
Have
older
more
than me.
child features.
And I've literally seen like people shit on Twitter where people like it's like a relationship photo of like a guy and like a woman who looks younger, and then the replies are just calling the guy a pedophile or something, and it's like that's an adult woman right there.
As
So
an adult woman.
or the Australia thing where it's like we're now discriminalizing porn with women who like don't have like large
try to-
breasts, I
Try to
guess.
do that, yeah.
I take some issue with like the mentality of the pure visual of it because it gives us like it seems to give people like a weird license to sexualize people who are underage because they're developed, right? Like you had the whole fucking thing with the Olsen twins in the 90s and I can't wait till she turns 18. It's just like
Yeah, Tatsumaki cosplayer where she got a bunch of shit despite being an adult. Yeah, and Tatsumaki from One
Remember.
Punch Man is an adult character, so it's like, well, now are we just policing what women can do with their
I mean, people
bodies?
say
That
shit
doesn't
about
sound good.
Kanata as well. And like age
Yeah.
play is a thing too. What do we say about age play?
Again, yeah,
Like that's
we're
playing
gonna start.
into that, but it's to consenting adults, just like how consenting
Right.
adults are making these animations.
And it's like
for
you can be weirded out by that. Certainly, I am, but it's like I'm not going to say like no, don't do that because it's like I'm not trying to police people in the bedroom when it's it's two consenting adults.
Again, we haven't brought this up, I don't think, so far, but like it really gets into the weeds of like muscle man handshake conservatives and liberals, and with wanting to just police things like for no reason.
Right. And like I said, there will probably be a discussion of this when it comes to like more conservative ideas of like sexuality and the kind of pornography you consume. I guess when we get to that, or maybe
Well,
that'll
like-
be like
And the
Also, like this argument. So, like, people were kind of pointing out that this is a straw man. That like people don't really unironically make this argument, but like I think it's like it's a misrepresentation of the actual argument that people will make is that they are child coded visually, but not child coded like mentally. And so
Right.
the distinction there is like there's because like I, I don't know, did we talk about this on a podcast or a stream where it's like it's almost like the Fuda thing where there are like elements that you incorporate that are like immediate kind of visual signifiers
Mhm.
that are erotic but aren't erotic for like because like just because you're attracted to like a futanari character doesn't mean that you're going to be attracted to like actually sucking. It's just more like a immediate kind of psychological visual thing.
Right. Well, that comes into like the I think like we talked about this in the episode with Richard, where it's a matter of subject positioning. You know, what character are you identifying as in the first place? Because there's like a lot of like when you talk to like a lot of artists, I believe who's like the character designer for Monogatari? Akio Watanabe has talked about like when he draws like a character or whatever, and like the band-aids and all that sort of stuff. He talks about how like he becomes the little girl that he's drawing. Essentially, it's not like a sexual attraction to the drawing. He is sort of identifying with and becoming the drawing himself. Is sort of like how he phrases it psychologically. So again, it's one of those things where I don't think we should have just like a simple, obvious like one-to-one kind of thing when it comes to you like this thing, therefore you are this, and you're thinking about it in this way.
That's definitely a part of it too. But like because like the thing about from what I've like read, obviously I'm not fucking an expert on this shit and I'm not going to claim to be, but like it's like the incest thing that we talked about where it's like there's things, underlying things that kind of go into the attraction of it. Like just because you're watching incest, like with like a mother son or something, doesn't mean you want to fuck your mom. Otherwise,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
you
yeah.
just
Well,
masturbate
there's
to your
a,
mom at that point. Like
Yeah.
you're
There's
it's more
the-
like
or
the
like the,
scenario itself that you're fetishizing. So there's like
there's like the idea of like
It's
straight men who
fantasy. And when the
straight men
fantasy's
who are
broken, it's
turned
not
on by
funny.
straight men who are turned on by gay porn, and it's not really like that. Oh, they are closeted gay people. It's not that. It's more so almost like the taboo aspect of being a straight man and getting off to gay porn is what turns them on. It's again, it can be a very complex thing. I don't think that we should simply make this claim that like
right.
if you get off of this sort of porn, this is what you must want in real life.
And there's also like again, it goes back to the Fuda thing I was talking about, where it's like the Fuda thing is attractive to like straight guys oftentimes because it's like an immediate visual signifier. Because it's easier
Yes.
for an artist to get across like this person that's attractive is aroused because they have an erection. It's much easier to get that across in a drawing than it is to like just have a vagina be wet or whatever.
Right.
Because-
It's the arousal that becomes attractive in and of itself rather than the symbol of the arousal, which is
Right.
important.
So like lollies oftentimes are kind of attracted to people because it's like the purity aspect of it, but they don't like it's not like there's not necessarily an attraction to like a child coded like acting character, right?
Right.
People aren't necessarily, I mean there definitely is a subset of people that are into that, but like a lot of times when we're talking about like a dragon maid or like whatever fucking like standard anime, like a lot of them aren't like fucking Shinobu. Like she's in no way acts like a child. Like she
No.
does visually look like one, but there's not any point where she's like, "Oh, Oni-chan, haha," and like going to
Right.
preschool or something. Like it's just they're two separate kind of things, and so that's where the argument of like, "Oh, she's 1,000-year-old," like it's a misunderstanding or misrepresentation of the argument because they're like, oh well, just because she's 7,000 years old doesn't make it okay. It's like, well, no, it's getting to the core issue of like she's not coded as a child in how she acts.
Right.
visually we can have a discussion there, but like people are just misunderstanding each other when they're like, "Oh, that's not a fucking excuse for why she looks that way just because she's a 7,000-year-old lolly dragon fucking wizard thing or whatever." Fuck.
Yeah, well, like, yeah, and ultimately, like I said, it comes down to a matter of like, and this is again, it's almost like a trite point because you talk about like the division between fantasy and reality, and people go and you're like, well, you know, what's it a drawing of and stuff like that, and it's like, well, it's not really a drawing of anything, just like a Rorschach test isn't a painting of anything. Yeah,
It signifies something different. Yeah.
right, yeah.
With little loopholes like that makes it feel like it justifies this very creepy act, which I don't know if it does. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it doesn't. I'd like to, in a lot of cases, I like to play devil advocate, but I need to put an extreme foot down that no, this is just, it's just plain gross and wrong, if I'm being completely honest. Even though, let's say that you
I gotta mention how
story,
Lolly bad, by the way, like every 2
right?
seconds
This character
too.
is so much older. It's
kind of
a
annoying.
7,000-year-old dragon wizard. It was transformed.
Yeah, it's so this, yeah, it's like such a, like this whole like 7,000-year-old dragon wizard lolly thing. It's like such like a trite argument, and it's not really like an argument that you see come up a lot in like the literature, the, you know, books and shit as well. It's like it's not something that like Galbraith really talks about. It's not something that like Saito really talks about in like anything that they've written. It's more so like, well, if we want to get into like Ozma, it's like a database thing almost, essentially.
Well, it's a
Well,
funny
it's actually
database thing, but I think it's something with this particularly. I think it's interesting because we don't actually really see Lolicons make this argument.
No, this isn't really
all,
well. This
all
is
too much.
this isn't
like,
really.
this is
isn't really like a debate you really that really like, yeah, it comes up that much in like
it's kind
Japanese
of a straw
otaku
man.
spaces, and yeah, it's
Kind
to
of a
like
straw
folk,
man.
and it's like this is like the core argument you're refuting, and it's like this isn't really
What that is.
this isn't really a good argument in the first place. So yeah, it just kind of feels like we're burning a straw man essentially.
Basically.
Old person stuck in a little girl's body. It doesn't help that I would say 99% of the time in these cases, or
kind
not
of
100%
weird
of
to
the
me.
time.
Yeah,
I get it's a
characters
joke,
act
but
like
like,
little
yeah.
children. A good example of that is Miss.
So that's the problem. They don't act like children. Like,
right.
Yeah.
The thing that we don't talk about when we talk about like these characters that are like visually coded as being like children is like they're coded, but they don't really look like like these people. Like anime characters don't look like people really. Like proportion wise is always like exaggerated. Like it's
Well, later
almost
on,
like
he'll address the argument that like oh, they look like Japanese people, and it's like, no, they don't. Well, that gets to the whole idea that like, well, anime characters aren't really meant to look like anyone. What's that? It's
yeah,
like
they're just like exaggerated. Like they're
Mokoku Seki?
caricatures.
Yeah.
Like that's the point.
Well,
But,
they're
like, no one-
stateless, I believe is the term.
Like
Yeah,
that, and,
Mukokoseki.
Yeah.
and you can definitely like point to like, oh, it's weird that they would code them that way. It's like, okay, fine, but like at the same time, they're not proportioned like actual like. If we're at the point where we're sitting there like, oh, if you like this character, you're clearly attracted to children, and it's like, have you seen a child? Like, just have you gone outside? Like, we're I agree with you that you're more than welcome to be like icked and like find it gross that like
Sure,
people are
yeah.
attracted to like the coded aspect of the visual. Like, oh, you shouldn't be attracted to that. It's like, fine, that's fair, but like they're not unless you're like looking at Russell shit, they're not real fucking the proportions aren't really real.
Right. Well, yeah, and again, even so, it's like it's that thing where it's like you can find certain things attractive in illustrations, in fantasy, in stuff that doesn't exist, and then find it completely repulsive in real life, and things that aren't fictional, things that are real. And this is just like a general thing that I think applies to like sexuality. Like I think it's actually kind of telling because what little I paid attention to this drama between H3H3 and Vosh is that in that folder that Vosh put up on stream by accident, most of it was like horse shit. Like AI generated horse images.
Most horse shit, yeah.
AI generated
Yeah.
Oh my
and
god.
and Ethan's reaction to that was that he just thought it was goofy. He thought it was funny, which is like, okay, so if we're making this, because I think it would be like, it would be really fucked up if those were like real images of real women and horses, essentially. That would be way more fucked up, and I don't think anyone would really be laughing at that. But we're able to make that divide between, an illustration and the real life thing when it comes to subject matters like that, but not Lolicon, because it's just too far, I guess, Even though I think that divide still does exist, where it's like, you could find these drawings attractive. You can find these drawings of like women and horses sexually arousing, but not necessarily real images of real women and horses attractive.
Well, it's always weird to me that like incest is like kind of so accepted in a way where it's just like a fucking meme at this point. Where you're like, oh, step bro, like all that shit.
Right.
But like no one really like wants to fuck their family, right?
No.
It goes back to the was it Ozma quote?
It's a Saito quote.
Saito.
I can pull it up. Let me grab my copy of the.
Yeah, it goes back. Well, he's pulling it up. It goes back to that quote where it's purely a fantasy, right? It's just you exploring a taboo or a feeling or a scenario in a relatively healthy environment. Like you're not harming anybody exploring a fantasy about like some fucking incest couple or whatever. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you want to have an incestuous relationship with anybody, because again, if you wanted that, you would be looking at your fucking whatever family member you were attracted to. You wouldn't be looking at the scenario. You wouldn't be fetishizing this piece of fiction that's like presenting this scenario to you. You wouldn't need to, because you would just be looking at the person of your desire at that point.
All right, I got the quick here. Let me just screen cap it.
It's a romanticization of youth. We look at our youth through rose-tinted glasses. We were gross, stupid, and loud as kids. I mean, it's a romanticization of like that's a lot of erotic content.
All right, so here's the thing Mumi was alluding to.
That's the Tamaki article.
Yeah. So to cite our sources, I guess this is an interview with Tamaki Saito, who is a Japanese psychiatrist. I don't know. He's one of those two things. For those of you who are familiar with the term hikikomori, he's the guy that coined the term. Essentially, he published a book back in, I think it was like the late 90s, examining the hikikomori phenomenon. So that's kind of like what brought him like a lot of like notoriety. Psychologist, psychoanalyst. I don't know what the difference is. And then later on he writes this book called Beautiful Fighting Girl, which is one of these, I guess, formative texts on defining otaku. This is like in the early 2000s. It's Beautiful Fighting Girl, and then Hiroki Azuma's Otaku Database Animals are like the two big books when it comes to otaku studies. And they're also like the main ones that have been translated into English. So there's that as well. But in the Moe Manifesto, which is a book by Patrick Galbraith, which is essentially a series of interviews with different scholars, creators, all sorts of people about the topic of moe and attraction to fictional characters. There's an interview with Tamaki Saito, and you see an excerpt of that on stream right now, and I guess we can read it. Yeah. So Galbraith asks, in your book, you say that desire can be asymmetrical. Can you explain?
Desire does not have to be symmetrical.
Shut the fuck up. I'm reading the goddamn quote. Be quiet. Be quiet. Quiet. It's my turn to speak. Desire does not have to be symmetrical. You can desire something in the two-dimensional world that you don't desire in the three-dimensional world. Let me give you some examples. There is a truism in otaku culture that those who feel moe for little sister characters in manga and anime don't have little sisters. If these men actually had little sisters, then the reality of that would ruin the fantasy. If the object exists in reality, it is not moe. So you can feel moe for maid characters in manga and anime, but that has nothing to do with actual women who are paid to work as housekeepers. These men don't have maids, and if they did, the fantasy would be ruined. You see, the maid character in manga and anime is nothing at all like a real maid. Therefore, desire for her is asymmetrical. This is not something among male otaku either. Women who love to read boys love manga do not necessarily have friends or an interest in homosexual men.
Gay friends.
So yeah, that's basically like the gist essentially of like you can find like these sorts of things like I guess in this context like incest, boys love, maid character, stuff like that. You can be attracted to that and find that arousing or appealing in a two-dimensional sense, you know, as a drawing, as a work of fiction, but not necessarily find it attractive in the real world as something that is real.
Yeah.
And again, this guy is like a, you know, this guy is an expert essentially. Like this
Actually
is not
accredited.
like, yeah, this is not like us like citing some random. This guy is like the guy or one of the guys. So yeah.
Looked at this show for a little bit.
Internationally recognized as Japan's leading hikikomori expert.
Yeah. So yeah, check out the Moe Manifesto. It's a really good book.
I mean, it's supposed to be this big, powerful dragon that turns into this little girl, but she acts like an absolute toddler, and they put like. So it's just
This is what I meant by like I don't think he actually watched Dragon Maid.
Yeah.
The constant barrage.
Well, again, like the large breasts there, that's kind of like a signifier against the idea that this character is a child, because I remember seeing TikToks of people being like, I fixed the character, and they get rid of her breasts, and it's just like, now you've just made a lolly. Now it's just a regular lolly. You've not fixed the design, you've just changed the appeal, because the appeal is something that is going to happen no matter how you like present the character. You could present her as in like a fucking full-on burqa and people would still find moe for it.
Well,
It doesn't matter. Like she can be covered like completely head to toe.
He's like combined like 3 of the characters from Kobayashi's Dragon Maid into one character. And it's just fucking because like he's calling her the Dragon Maid when that's Toru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's showing a picture of the fucking girl from season 2, which I don't remember her fucking name. Iruru. And he's saying that she acts like a child, and it's like, no, she doesn't. That's Kana that would be acting more like a child and going to like school, like elementary school or whatever. This other girl has a fucking job and goes to work, and if like she might, you could say she's like teenager coded, I guess, but she's not a child.
Yeah.
She does have like massive titties though. I mean, they weren't wrong about that.
Which are there for story reasons, by the way.
Becomes
She starts her fire in her titties.
Cute. These things are cute. I just like doing it because it's cute. I mean, it's just the intense taste of salt in your mouth is what I get. It's grating on so many levels. It's so distracting. Which the creators of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, I love saying that. The creator of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid have never specified her.
How old is Iruru meant to be? Okay, we do have a source cited here. Okay, wait. But this isn't. Wait.
CBR.
This isn't a quote from one of the creators.
Yeah, this is
is just a quote from a CBR. This isn't like one of the like creators of the show or the manga like talking.
Again, might be an editor issue, but either way, this is something you should have checked.
Right.
I mean, if you're a YouTuber, then like you would provide like where you got the information from. Like you wouldn't just leave that to the editor. That would be so
yeah. You would provide the sources for the editor to be like, this is what you should include here. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is directly.
Also, CBR, by the way, can we talk about that?
Yeah. Like
the most
CBR,
credible source.
CBR, not quote. Come on.
Is CBR the website that puts out like all of these dog shit like
millions
filled with a bunch of misinformation too?
Yeah,
like fucking Fruits Basket. The creator hated the original show. Okay,
they'll have a million misinformation. They'll have a ton of misinformation, but they also have like AI pretty sure AI generated articles. At the very least, AI looking articles.
Yeah,
Her age.
Yeah,
But
it's a content farm. Yeah, it's not a AI
that's
written at this stage. I mean, I'm aware of some people who have written for CBR. Like there are actual people who do write shit for it.
Yeah, there are real people.
But it's probably also a lot of AI shit. If anything, when we talk about AI replacing like creators' jobs, that's the kind of stuff that gets replaced. CBR, it's like, yeah.
because she can transform into a big dragon, people
first.
just speculate that she's 7,000 years old. Even though that's just
But you
made
can
up for
transform
their
into a
own
big
kind
dragon?
of, you know, desires to justify what they're doing.
I mean,
But she
who
looks
really fucking care? Like, so
Yeah.
he's like so focused on like the age argument. It's like, who fucking cares?
Yeah,
Like-
well, the issue, yeah, because what people are attracted to is not the age; it's the way the character looks. Now, the age can be a part of the appeal as well. Again, when we talk about like database elements, but that's not what defines a lolly. Essentially, it's how the character looks visually.
Well, even then, like, if your argument is like Kana, for example, like it's not okay to like sexualize her because she looks like a child. It doesn't matter if she's fucking 200 years old, because like she's a fucking dragon. Like they can fucking establish that her fucking development cycle, she should be like fucking 800 years old or whatever.
Right.
Who fucking care? Like she's clearly supposed to be underdeveloped. Just focus on that. Like who fucking cares about the literal fucking age?
I just kind of hate it if I search for anime news on Google News, it's completely littered with CBR. It's kind of like how, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but whenever I go to Google image search now, if I like type in like Picasso or something, if I'm trying to find like a painting along those lines, I'll start seeing like AI generated results in there, and that's really fucking annoying.
Speaking of that, is this just straight up fan art or AI?
Yeah, I think it's like fan art. This is one, yeah.
It's like an 8 or 9.
Yeah, that
It's
does
not
look
credited.
good.
Child. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid team, just come out and say something. Or
No.
better yet, let's just not make it.
The
Can I-
team for
can I
it, by
get
the
an
way,
amen
not
for
the
that?
original author. Cool.
Yeah, the
Q
team, yeah,
Ninja,
it's just like,
is that his name?
does he know that it's an adaptation
Does he know?
and that this stuff is in the manga?
Why should KyoAni?
He's focusing on Dragon Maid. He's done like way worse shit in like dojins and
It
shit.
also reminds me what, like, I remember when like this, like, you know, Dragon Maid season 2 was airing, a lot of people on TikTok were pissed off about this, about Iruru's character design, and they were like, oh man, I'm so glad KyoAni burned down. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what you see from a lot of these.
Fucking
like,
Zoomers
anti-lolly
are
people.
goddamn like menaces.
You just see a lot of racism from these people and like cruelty.
Yeah,
Dude,
we'll get into
fucked
like
up
some.
I've seen some fucking horrendous shit said about the team behind gushing over Magical Girls, which is currently airing seasonal. Just absolutely abhorrent. Like
Yeah.
death threats. Like what the
Oh,
fuck is
God.
wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, do you think you're better?
Can't wait until he watches Kodomo
Get
no
a fucking
Jikan.
grip, idiot.
Kodomo no Jikan, a known manga made by a woman and then with a script adapted by a woman into an anime.
I just want to say that out there. About that.
Wanted the
ripest
original
root does
English
stay
name to
on
be
the stem the
Nymphet.
longest,
Skip this shit.
Mr.
Oh
Weebs.
god. Yeah.
Are
This
you
is a
saying
fucking
that
long
it's
bit.
sweeter?
Mega
He's got the books all for one bucket.
Yeah,
of
but
chicken
here's the
in
issue with
cases.
that.
Really, when you
Ghost Psiotic from the Weeb crew.
Just say your point.
The issue is that in the beginning he said Lolicon are men, so yeah, Kodomo was written by a man.
Oh, so
He
they
said
must
it,
be
so
secretly
he defined it. I mean,
right.
they are
So they
men.
must be secretly trans. I understand.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lolicon can't be women.
interesting twist.
Yeah, if you're a woman who is into lolicon, I'm sorry, but you're actually a man.
Which, by the way, if you've been around
Trans
spaces
rights.
where you can, where you've talked
You
to
don't vote for
female
Joe Biden.
lolicon, female lolicons are fucking unhinged.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
the worst of what you see, like these dudes talking about, like
Hold on.
just as bad, if not worse.
Let me
Like,
let me
spamming
see,
Cuddy
let
and
me
shit like
find this
that,
thing real quick.
Exact same thing.
I
They
got
do it.
something really funny for you. Hold on.
Based as hell.
God, I'm not ready.
I don't even know what you're pulling up.
Trust me when I say it's gonna be funny as hell. Here we go.
Trust him.
All right. This
Yeah.
is an article. This is an article called top 10 female Ghibli characters according to lesbian Japanese women.
I
Let's see
The
what these
girl that
women-
accepts the pie delivery.
Yes. Okay. Number
Yeah.
1, the girl that accepts the pie delivery. What do these women have to say? I want her to tell me that she
Christ.
doesn't like my physique. She seems selfish and uncooperative, so I like the challenge of overcoming that. I want to surprise that brat and shut her up with my technique.
Mm.
Her personality might be bad, but she's my type. She's strong-willed and flirty, and isn't flirty. That's attractive. I wonder what pie she wanted instead. I want to make it for her. She knows her likes and what her likes and dislikes are. That's cool.
Very cool.
There is some Osano from Kiki's Delivery Service. I want her to treat me like a baby with the pacifier that customer forgot.
They really like
Odd
Kiki's,
experience
goddamn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
San
feel
from
like-
Princess Mononoke. I think she'd be wild in bed. A part of her believes that she's a wolf. I want to put a collar and leash on her.
It's
I
horny.
feel like you get into like whataboutisms a lot with these kind of arguments. So
I get, but again, it's to illustrate this is not like a man thing,
no,
like at all, remotely.
It could go into whataboutism, but I do think it's like dangerous when you just
You
lump
just assert that like
everything-
this is like something that appeals only to men, and when it's like
no, like
these are
historically
saying
not.
on things that are as like some of the most unhinged things I've ever fucking seen.
well,
about a
again, I think
Ghibli
it's
Yeah,
like
like I said.
him.
Literally said correction is needed. Like
Yes,
He's just literally projecting like the Western kind of like perception of this shit.
right.
like,
Well, that's
know-
the error. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Like he's not taking like. Of course, they don't fucking do the research to take into account like the people who are making it and like consuming it in Japan and like the audience that's actually doing that.
I want to visit the lesbian bar the interviewer got these responses from. Honestly, same, because they sound fucking based.
You get down into the comment sections and forums, it really varies from person to person of these kinds of excuses they make. And that's really where the trench warfare begins with a lot of these things. You have like weird lingo. So if you're into
This is shit that I did not know about. I have never fucking heard of this, by the way. So, again, no sources are cited. I can't verify any of this.
because you might be in some very rocky territory.
what
So
is
there's
it?
a group of people
You'll see.
that refer to
Okay.
stuff as quote unquote cheesecake, which is basically a pinup pose.
Yeah, what the fuck
aren't
is that?
Necessarily not.
I don't know. I'm going to be real with
Cheesecake.
you. Cheesecake sounds like a dog whistle that would just be used by actual, like, pedophiles.
Is he talking about cheese pizza?
No,
No. Because that will come up later.
he's
Yeah,
talking about cheese. I've never heard of fucking cheesecake.
It's, pinup poses, which
safe for
are,
work,
yeah.
but it alludes to not safe for work, right? Which is still wrong.
What?
You're alluding to the thing. It's like it's
the
like
fuck is he
getting
talking
around
about?
and you're undressing it with your mind. We know what you're doing.
Where did
but
he
there's
get
a
this
group of people who are
information
like,
from?
well, I mean, nothing's really happening. I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean cheesecake? What?
Who are you talking about?
Big Bone says cheesecake is a style of pinup / erotic photo. I've
I've, like-
legitimately never heard this term before in my life.
And how is it relevant to Lolicon?
Yeah.
Is
Again,
this a porn term? Like just a general
It looks like she's bending over and
thing?
yeah, hold on, let's see
or
here.
an etchy term.
This just sounds like he's describing ecchi, by the way. Like just a regular ecchi, not necessarily anything like a lolicon.
Right. Okay, I don't understand what this has to. I'm seeing these images. I
Cheesecake
must
is
see.
an old term for fan service.
Is it? I have
Not
no idea.
exclusive to the lolly. Cheesecake is a term from the 40s and 50s. What?
What the fuck?
How is this relevant?
That would be-
What sources is he using? Like old like Playboy
The
magazines? I don't.
Wait, can you pull up the Lolicon like Wikipedia page? Does that mention it?
Jamie, pull up the Lolicon
Jamie,
Wikipedia
Jamie,
page.
pull up the
Yeah,
Lolicon Wikipedia.
shut the fuck up! I'm pulling it up. Jesus Christ. Let me see it.
Like, does that mention?
No,
cheesecake?
nothing comes up.
Where the fuck
nothing
is
com-
he referencing cheesecake?
I
from?
have no idea.
I don't
I
even.
have legitimate.
I don't even want to
The
like.
CBR article
try to look
mentions
it up.
what it mentions this.
I feel like I don't want to like try to look this up and figure it out. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
don't
there's a
want.
maybe there's a reason he didn't want to cite his sources on this
Yeah,
one.
my sources, I made it the fuck up.
Why I made it the fuck up.
Probably, yeah. Jesus Christ.
doing that, but it's not really the case, so it's fine, right? Wrong. If you catch yourself in a conversation like this, here's what you do. Run away from those
What the
people.
fuck? Oh, I'm sorry if that
Which
hurt
a lot of
anyone's
people
ears. That
also
hurt
say, as long
mine.
as it sticks to PG-13 content, the sexualization and everything is minimalized. There's really no victims, right? Wrong.
I have
Once
no
again,
idea
wrong. The
what he's
idea isn't
arguing
necessarily
against
that
right
you're
now.
affecting anyone in the physical real world, but it's the implications that are happening, and I think it's just the mindset that you're creating.
I think
I
it's
really don't
just
think that this
arguing
kind of
against
fantasy can
fan
be
service
broken
in
up.
general.
In some kinds of
Okay, so he says right here, he does not think that this kind of fantasy can be broken up, meaning that people who are into this are not capable of having like a preference for only fantasy. It has to be both fiction and reality.
Yeah.
To which I say, why? Based on what?
Based on
If you
what?
like porn, does that just make you like want to go out and grape people?
Well, no. I think he would agree that like certain kinds. Again, I think he may even agree that you could be a straight man and be aroused by gay porn and not be gay yourself. But for some reason, when it comes to Lolicon, that sort of divide does not exist. But he doesn't really elaborate on why.
Once again, the sublime object of ideology.
Yeah, this is getting uncomfortably
about-
close to thought crime territory.
Think about
yeah.
Basically
the
is.
children.
Yes, because again, it's like he says that no
everything is
one,
minimalized.
no
There's
actual
really
person
no
is being
victims, right?
harmed.
Wrong. Once again, wrong. The idea isn't necessarily that you're affecting anyone.
Doesn't
in the
this guy
physical
make
real
like
world, but it's-
disturbing cartoons that a lot of children watch?
The
Yes.
idea is, the idea is
They're
not
very
that you
popular
are
on
necessarily affecting anyone in the real world.
It's the implications that are happening, and I think it's just the mindset that you're creating. I really don't think that this kind of
Yeah.
fantasy can be
So
broken up.
it'd
In
be
some kinds of-
interesting if he were making the argument of like, because like that's what a lot of people do is the argument of like normalization, where it's like it's wrong to be not necessarily promote but allow this sort of material because it's used to like groom actual minors because they're like, oh well, look at this, like this young person is doing this thing, so you should be able to do it too. Like that's certainly a thing that a discussion you can have, but this is basically him saying like you should just never even like go down that road because like it could lead like it's the slippery slope argument of like, oh, if you basically if you're into this, like you're going to eventually become, which I mean, I guess to his credit, like half the people that make videos fucking defending this shit then come out to be fucking abusers, but like
Right. I don't think Funibori says, I don't think he believes that about the gay example. Maybe not, but I guess so my perspective on this is that, what you may find arousing in pornography may not necessarily be reflective of what you find arousing in real life, and what you find arousing and what the kinds of people you want to engage in sexual relationships with in real life may not also be the same kinds of people that you have a romantic attraction towards either. So you could even be a man who wants to have gay sex with other guys, but then still want to be in a romantic relationship with a woman. As we learned from SVU, I have relationships with women and sex with men.
Well,
And
a
I
lot
don't
of
think that
these-
necessarily makes someone gay, if I'm going to be completely honest.
a lot of these discussions don't really delve into like why some people like get into like lolly and shoujo content, which
Doesn't
is
seem to- okay.
exploring like a lot of the time like people are exploring like traumas, right?
Right, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, in a
it
lot
can
of
be
cases,
a way for
yeah.
them to explore like the fact that they were like abused as a younger person, and so it's like a way for them to almost like reclaim that because it's like it's them exploring it in a fantasy which there's no like direct victim. Again, the argument of like grooming or whatever is another discussion, but like there's no one being harmed directly in art of like this
Right.
thing, right? So it's them being able to express and like explore these kind of traumas that they had in a way that's like relatively fucking constructive, and it's not harmful to anybody.
Yeah, the whole violence in video games not influencing real life crime is probably a good example of an argument Meat Canyon would agree with. Yeah, so it's like that thing. Well, it's like there obviously are cases of people who have violent tendencies, antisocial tendencies, who play violent video games, and that then encourages them to go out and commit real life violence. That is obviously a thing that happens, and obviously that there are pedophiles, there are people who are into real life children who then also find Lolicon attractive, and then that may then cause them to go and cause harm in the real world as well. What's important to note, though, is that that is not necessarily the case. You can very much just be someone who just enjoys violent video games and then leaves a completely normal, peaceful life like everyone else. It's not a yeah, it almost becomes a sampling issue thing, because then all you ever hear about are the people who actually end up doing something. You don't hear about the regular people who just, play violent video games and go about their day. You only hear about the ones that, shoot up their school or place of work or something along those lines.
Yeah. Well, a while ago, I would say the layman has accepted that the violence and the media depictions do not influence the psychology of the people viewing it, in the sense that horror movies don't cause people to become slashers, and Doom or whatever doesn't cause people to commit school shootings. But then this completely gets thrown out of the window when we talk about sexuality. Pornography somehow affects the psychology different, which is an actual argument these people will make,
right?
Without any.
But does it? But again, because
there's no source. There's never any source,
right? Because again, we go back to Tamaki Saito here, actual psychologist, a guy who has worked with people, and he's saying these things. This guy is an expert. This is our source. So then it's like, well, what's the source for when it comes to why is violence in video games different from sexuality and sex? Because again, if we accept the notion that what you're into in terms of pornography is not necessarily what you're into in real life, which I think is I think it's a fairly conservative thing to argue otherwise, is what I would say. And then it becomes a very similar thing to video games, where it's like, why is this the case?
Drama and film, even Lolita the film, we're never seeing the character in a positive light. We're following a pedophilic monster. There's nothing that is a positive, healthy association of your sexuality to these characters. So by doing so, even in these non-explicit but still suggestive pictures, I still feel like it's just an irreversible amount of damage that you can do to yourself. There's no coming back from it.
What do you mean by what do you mean?
You normalize yourself in these fucking horrid, weird things, and then you ostracize yourself from actual society. And then guess what? You can't get real girlfriends, you can't get real wives, and if you do, you're probably an unhappy one. Is what I like.
Why should people get real girlfriends and real wives? What if that's not something people are interested in? What if someone's
what the fuck?
Yeah, what if someone's aromantic or asexual or something along those lines, where they don't have any desire for a real life romantic or sexual relationship?
Again, this is him just coming from a Western male perspective, right?
Well, yeah, it comes to that idea of put down your cartoons, stop finding them attractive, go out and get yourself a real woman. And it's like, why?
Touch grass.
Yeah, have kids become a productive member of capitalist society. And it's like, nah. Also, I'm sorry if people are getting Discord notifications again.
Are you getting messaged again?
I'm getting messaged again.
It's not me this time.
The bitches are blowing up my DMs.
But this is just
You can also just get a girlfriend who is into Lolicon, and vice versa.
That's true. What's that I've always said?
We established earlier that's no women.
They don't exist.
Oh yeah,
they don't exist. They don't exist. Only men.
What if you're a dude and there's a girl who is into Shoujo?
You just do the muscle handshake from Predator.
Yeah.
Imagine.
What was it that he just said, though?
Kind of rude.
Here, I'll roll it back.
Still suggestive pictures. I still feel like it's just an irreversible amount of damage that you can do to yourself. There's no coming back from it. You normalize.
So it feels almost like we're talking about damage pornography can do to you in general.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, because there's nothing like exclusive to Lolicon specifically about this. We're just talking about pornography at this point, which my argument would just be people need to be like, and to a certain extent, taught how to have, you know, healthy relationships, a healthy relationship with pornography. You know, it's not something, as you've seen in the movie Cyber Seduction, when you shame that kind of behavior, it can end up creating a really hostile downward spiral.
I mean,
in a very comical way in the case of Cyber Seduction.
You know, like you said, it's just an argument about pornography. That's an argument about, you know, porn. Like, that's not an argument about Lolicon. That's not nothing specific here about Lolicon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just this thing is quote unquote depraved, which we can then just apply to all sorts of kinds of porn.
Can have malformed relationships with porn. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
no, necessarily. No.
Like,
yeah.
He's asserting that like you're doing like irreparable harm. But I mean, statistically, like sexual crimes are like the least fucking offense, like repeated offense kind of crime you could commit.
Right. Regular pornography is honestly 1 billion times worse in terms of consent and racism issues. Yeah, but that's a whole can of worms. I'm gonna be honest. That's a
issue.
Yeah, that's a real heavy topic. That gets really dark.
Yourself in these fucking horrid, weird things.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Society. And then guess what? You can't get real girlfriends. You can't get real wives. And if you do, you're probably an unhappy one. Is what I'd like to imagine. That's probably that's kind of rude and a bit judgy, but that's just me. You know, that's just what I have to think.
Papa, how many pieces of chicken do you want now?
Yeah, that's just what I have to think. It's like, yeah, you are just kind of being judgy, assuming people are like in unhappy relationships because of the kind of pornography they consume. You're
just kind of being an asshole.
Yeah.
If it's your post, delete the post. It's like a little infection. You don't want that kind of thing coming there. But I mean, the latter half is absolutely correct. There's just none of it that should be okay. We just need to put our foot down and we need to just say that this is a real thing. And I keep reiterating the same thing.
What do you mean this is a real thing? What do you mean this is? It's definitionally not a real what?
I think he's saying it's a real problem.
Okay. You made a post on Twitter or any of these forums saying that you're like, I just lolicon stuff, lollies, I just think, you know, I think that stuff phooey with it, right? Let's not do it. These people crawl out of the tall grass like little roaches and they will comment.
Hey, he's talking about us reacting to this a few hours after it came out.
They will
God damn it. This is why I wanted to wait, Moomy, because then he can use this argument against us.
Continuously trying to start arguments, defend themselves against people who are not attacking them.
I'm not defending myself.
Okay,
well, yeah,
you are attacking. No, you are attacking them by saying let's not do that. When it's like if you just say, I think.
Saying I want to talk shit, but I do not want to get hit.
Yeah, like, it's like if you're just like I think Lolicon is gross, that's perfectly fine. If you're like I think Guro is gross, I think that's whatever. I think Yaoi is. I'm not into that shit. No, and it's like okay.
I think Lolicon should not exist is a different argument.
Yes, I think Yaoi should not exist.
You are putting it down. You are saying no. This thing is destructive and should not exist. Yeah, they're going to argue against you. Those are fighting words. Literally fighting words.
In his defense, yeah, Twitter lolicons are annoying and are the worst defenders of their own subculture.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
I know exactly the kind of person he's talking about, Jekko. I know exactly the kind of person he's talking about.
To be fair, they do not make a good case for themselves.
They really do not.
And shit like that.
That's the kind of thing I've hoped that would, like, at least with this stream, if anyone watches it, hopefully if they're new to this whole conversation or like this is like their only exposure to this topic is through Twitter, I do hope that at least we can very least, even if they don't necessarily agree with us, even if they still think it's like Lolicon is gross and bad, at least they are like, they're being made aware of like some like points or perspectives that they may not have been aware of previously. So at the very least, this conversation can move in a direction that isn't just rehashing the same old bullshit over and over again. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I really, that's what I dislike about a lot of like lolly defense is that it's just focused on like the legality of it. And it's like, sure, that's definitely like an element that like needs to be, but it's like, I don't know how constructive it is to just focus on like, oh, well, it needs to be not illegal, like it does not need to be made illegal because that's a thought crime kind of thing.
Right.
Like just focusing on that's not getting to the core of like, what people find like objectionable about it, right?
Right, yeah. Because
we-
yeah, like I said, he doesn't really make an argument here that it should be illegal. Maybe he thinks it does, maybe he thinks it doesn't. There are plenty of people I know who think that Lolicon is bad, it's pedophilic, but don't necessarily think that it should be illegal.
Yeah.
But again, he doesn't really get into any of that.
Just the guilt. It's the guilt of the situation that drives people to do these things, to justify these horrible behaviors, and it eats away at people.
In our case, it's not the guilt, it's the clicks.
I don't really know why. I don't know why you'd focus on this, where you're just like, oh, if you disagree with me, and you're like making arguments because it's like guilty conscience. It's like what?
What? Yeah.
People, I really think it does. And this last group of people believes that as long as no real life child is harmed, then there's no harm at all. Everything's okay as long as it's not a real life child. Pedophilia is not cool, but the Lolicon stuff, since no one is physically and a real life child isn't actually being harmed, everything's okay. Which, once again, as I've said before, I don't think is correct. So some people in this
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, because
You haven't made a good argument.
again,
as to why not.
we talk about like video games and the fact, yeah, again, video games do not have any real life people involved. There is no real life. I mean, in some cases, there is real life harm in the form of like gambling, and that's a whole other topic. But again, we're talking about like violence in video games. Then it's like, yeah, no one's really being harmed. Why is this a bad thing? If there's a case to be made that in terms of like artists who are drawing pornography of real actual children, that is wrong. I think everyone will agree that that is like crossing a line and that should not be allowed. But that's not what we're talking about here when we talk about Dragon Maid.
Right. I don't know. It's just.
Which is worse, Gotcha or Lolly? Oh, in terms of I guess corrupting the youth and encouraging gambling habits, I'd say probably Gotcha is a much more dangerous. It almost becomes an argument of like encourage people to have like healthy healthy relationship with gambling if that is something you're going to do. Which, to be fair, it comes to like any sort of like addictive behavior where moderation is the key essentially. But
well, again,
yeah,
he's making there's
something much more salient there with Gotcha than I think Lolicon. Yeah.
He's making the thought crime argument, like he's saying like basically, like if you even like, it's basically the slippery slope thing of like, oh, touch the lolly just once and it'll corrupt your morals and you're gonna fucking.
And there are people who think that there's it's called like pedophilia OCD, where there are people who are really paranoid about the idea that they might be a pedophile. Like it's something that they like, it kind of constantly like fucks with them and plagues them. And as a result, even though they may not actually have any desire for real children, that anxiety can actually cause them to abuse a child as a result, because it sends them into like a panic or a frenzy or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
which this definitely does not help with.
No, no, it does not.
Or policing those people,
right?
Making them seem subhuman.
Category 2.
Well, yeah, I mean that gets into a whole other topic in terms of like like I said, the stigmatization of pedophilia and like these people. I'm personally of the opinion that these people should not be like thrown in prisons or anything. They should be like rehabilitated and provided with help so they do not harm anyone. Yeah.
Some of the things that we've been seeing doing this video and researching it that have been pretty fucking wild has been: 1, Lolicon is an art form and is separate from child abuse. 2, the dark arguments that kids have sexual desires too.
It's a malformed comment.
Oh god.
3, Neckbeard's claiming that if she's old enough to bleed, she's old enough to breed.
I mean,
I made myself throw up a little bit reading that, but
that is just you seeing people being edgy online.
They are being edgy, but they're also like
times we actually saw it posted
not
on the
technically
internet. Circling back, a lot of the comments too that we saw and a lot of the arguments was it's about the cuteness, not the age. I wanted to emphasize this part because looking at a lot of this stuff, we found that cuteness was brought up a lot, especially with a lot of anime. It's the fact that people associate the intense.
Yeah, who says that? Again, these just feel like straw man arguments that have been like picked up. These aren't. They're knocking down like really basic arguments. Now, if they were like, all right, we read through. We read through Otaku and the Struggle for Imagination. We read through Beautiful Fighting Girl. These are our arguments against what is being talked about in these books. Then to be like, Okay, then we're going somewhere. There's something happening. But if we're just arguing against like the boogeyman of these like malforum posts, and it's like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, it'd be a lot more respectful if they were like
sensation of
steel
cuteness
manning
that
these
they're saying,
arguments.
That's the reason why
Yeah.
this sexual fantasy is happening. That's why I'm so turned on, is because it's a cuteness overload. It's like the Minions.
I don't know what the
They're so
fuck this
cute,
is.
Right?
I don't know what he's talking about here. To be
They're
honest.
wrong.
I've
It's
literally
just another
never
weird
heard of this
excuse
argument
getting
of,
around the
like,
beating around the bush, and it's just
I'm
a
just
weird
so it's just
circling
so cute. It's
arcade
erotic.
A lot of the comments too that we saw, and a lot of the arguments was it's
That
about.
almost
the
makes me wonder if he read a book like Beautiful Fighting Girl or whatever, would he just dismiss it as like rationalization or something?
cuteness, not the age. I
knows?
wanted to emphasize this part because looking at a lot of this stuff, we found that cuteness was brought up a lot, especially with a lot of anime. It's the fact that people
Okay.
associate the intense over sensation of cuteness that they're seeing. That's the reason why this sexual fantasy is happening.
Okay.
That's why I'm so turned on, is because it's a cuteness overload.
Okay, and we're just going to then assume that
It's
people
like the
are lying.
Minions. They're so cute.
No,
right?
it's not
They're
like the
wrong.
Minions.
It's just another weird excuse of getting around the beating around the bush, and it's just.
Is it an excuse again? I mean, like, what is this skepticism
this
that we're
is-
applying here?
I think this is
What's
just
this
like,
research that we're doing? Is it
I
like
think
what?
he,
Like,
like,
is he only
read
like? Yeah.
some things about like them saying Lolly is cute. It's not, and those people might have even been saying like Lolly was like attractive because it's cute. They might have been, or like I should say erotic because it's cute. They might have just been saying that they found it like Lolita cute or whatever.
Right.
But like the fact, like I feel like the fact that he's like already misconstrued Lolly as being small child of under the age of fucking consent, and then
But then
Lolicon as being
also-
sexual.
Can also be 7,000 years old.
Yeah, when you're saying like, oh no, Lolly is just cute, then that's now like a defense saying like, oh no, I'm just attracted to it, and I'm blowing my load because it's just a cuteness overload,
Yeah.
which is like a weird, just
A very dishonest way of
disconnect.
engaging with what people are saying. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a weird circling argument that you see. In some of these cases, it's people just saying, oh, the cuteness is what I'm attracted to. I would never do this to a real kid because they're not as cute as this anime character. It's such a weird,
Okay.
creepy, it's like taking such a cute
What's-
thing and just like
I'm confused. It's weird and creepy that they don't want to do it to. I'm confused. What's your
turning
point?
it into this like black bile that people are just drinking and shoving down their throat, and they just
What?
regurgitate it over and over again. And it's
What?
this odd hive mind of people that are like, right? That's what I'm saying. Finally, someone's speaking some sense. And then more in the racist side, I guess, of these
What?
comments is I saw a lot of people saying that's just how Asian people look. Which is
Again,
weird.
no. Anime characters are like, yeah, the anime characters are designed to be stateless. They don't look like white people. They don't look like Asian. They don't really look like anyone.
thing
Again,
of, like, there's
it's
this
weird that he's making that argument, and then he's arguing that they look like children.
Yeah, yeah.
growing movement of fetishization of short, small-chested women, accentuating childlike beauty. There's this trend in Japan called yabe, which is pretty much taking your nice teeth and actually making them crooked and stuff, and people are doing that to look more childlike and more cute. That's like a weird movement that's going on to kind of fit
Again, yeah, we're kind of getting into Orientalism here. Kind of almost like stepping into racist territory, it feels like.
Also, also source, like you could.
Also source.
extremely cute thing, and like once again, it's all just because it's cute. I get to look like an anime character. I get to look like a kid. It's cute. It's mental disease, is what it is.
I don't-
Which here's the bottom line.
I don't know if it's.
Again,
like-
now we're just like stigmatizing mental illness. What's our
Well,
point
no,
here?
Like this whole fucking like thing of like, oh, they're like doing this in Japan to make themselves look younger. It's like, well, that's an industry in the West, but it's potentially even more so a problem in the West because we're just making younger. Like we've stigmatized like this idea of like being attracted to children, so children who are like they're like making themselves look older and like sexualizing themselves, and it makes this really uncomfortable fucking situation where fucking people are like, again, like, oh, I can't wait till she turns 18. It's like, why can you not wait till she turns 18? Are you saying that she's attractive and you're attracted to someone who's underage and you're just waiting for an arbitrary
Yeah.
number to come up to like legally bone I don't know how that's different than any kind of other
Right.
predation.
Yeah.
Like, why we just make this weird fucking like scenario with this shit where like you're fucking criticizing Japan for like a perceived thing of like making themselves look younger and like innocent or whatever. But then like in the West they do the same kind of shit. Like
Yeah.
we have fucking child beauty pageants. You have fucking girls that like imitate the shit that they're seeing. Like it's all over the
Yeah.
fucking place. This is like I don't know
Right,
how
yeah.
it's any different. Like why are we
Right.
focusing on Japan and like
Are
shitting
you
on
a
them?
pedophile if you are attracted to women wearing makeup?
All anime equals jail. Thank you. This is at least like a consistent take because it's like a lot of anime, far more than like you could ever fuck. Like there's like way more than it is not. Orientalism into ableism comment. Yeah, the mental disease comment right there. Kind of that autism spectrum thing at the start kind of puts them together in a poor way, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
Line of this weird, depraved internet culture thing that we're talking about. Lolicons. To me, it's as simple as this. If it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and walks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. I don't think that you can...
No. Again, because there are adult women. There's a channel. I don't know if I want to pull the channel up because their content is kind of NSFW, but there's a channel called Around Akiba. And think of it as like a really like insane, I guess if Trash Taste or Chris Broad went to like focus on like the more like adult video side like stuff in Japan, stuff like that. They have a video talking with one of these adult video stars named Kuro Lala, something along those lines. And they make the joke, and this is how she's like promoting like adult videos and stuff, is that she looks like a child, she's young looking, but she is in fact over 20, and she may even be older than me, honestly. So it's like I don't know, I don't want to make this argument. If it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. Then it if it looks like a duck, it looks like a kid. And oh, she must be a kid. When it's like no, she's an adult, and I don't know if we should really shame her for how she looks or what she does for work.
Well, I think
if you're a short woman, you just can't get married.
No. Yeah, true.
You should. Yeah, you need to die alone.
I think the worst part is that he's not referring to Lolly. I think he's referring to if he looks like he's a pedophile and he acts like he's a pedophile, then he's just a pedophile.
Again, yeah, going back to the argument with like gay men, it's like, or like gay porn and stuff. It's like, I don't think that really, what your sexuality is, I think, is ultimately just what you identify as in a lot of ways, where it's like you can be a straight man and have sex with other men and still identify as straight because you're in a relationship with a woman. It's like we do this like, well, you look like a duck and you're acting like a duck, therefore you must be gay. And it's like, I don't know about that, champ.
Have they ever heard of ironic gay sex? Like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. What is this that Joe posted?
He follows a lolly VTuber. Yeah, so it was something along those lines. I noticed that like was cropping up on Twitter a little bit, like when I was like searching this up after the video came out. So it's like, yeah, is it like, yeah, it is like the Law and Order episode, Roger. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah, lolly VTuber. So yeah, welcome to the Resistance, Meat Canyon. Yeah, lolly VTuber. So it's like, what's up with this then? What's going on?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, can I show this on stream? Yeah, I think I can show this on stream. Yeah, followed by PapaMeat. Little knee 2.2D.5 Emoto. Music artist, voice actor, Twitch partner, IRL. Okay. Yeah, what? Again, we've almost like gone from this argument from because at the start of the video he makes this he distinguishes between people who just like lolly, stuff that's just cute and like stuff that like that, and then Lolicon. But now it feels like we're conflating the two somehow, where people are saying, oh, I just find this cute, and they're saying no, and he's saying no, that's just you like rationalizing some sick perversion, when it's like, we already talked about the fact that people can just like lolly because it's cute. So it's, what are we doing? What's the
I think
argument
it's interesting
here?
because like his argument for that VTuber would probably be, oh well, they're an adult, and it's just like, well, didn't you just say like that's still
that doesn't
problematic?
matter. That shouldn't matter. Yeah,
Did you
it's
watch
like
your own video?
You mentioned the teeth thing, like
the teeth thing, the
I mean, of course, I'm
7,000-year-old thing.
putting words in his mouth, but what would he be his defense against that VTuber?
I have no idea.
It's not
I think he
sexual.
actually may have unfollowed the VTuber even. At least that's what I was seeing. Which, if that's the case,
Lol.
petty.
Take your brain and really substitute these things. There's no way to fucking take a limitless pill and be able to categorize all of the nuances of psychology that your brain is playing Jenga continuously.
Oh, and they
to
post
cater
NSW
to
stuff.
your perverted
Oh,
fetishes.
okay.
So more of the story
Interesting.
Good thing I didn't like pull up their profile. on
Yeah.
stream.
Don't pull up their profile on stream. Yeah.
Okay.
is,
So wait, what does he say here? This is weird.
Psychology that you're and really substitute these things. There's no way to fucking take a limitless pill and be able to categorize all of the nuances of psychology that your brain is playing Jenga continuously to cater to your perverted fetishes. So more of the story
Age
is
play?
if you see some
What?
shit,
Pornography?
don't indulge in it. Don't
This
even
person
fucking look
posts
at it.
age
Don't
play.
do anything with it. If they look like a
So
Like
wait, don't
IRL
look at it.
age play.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
or perverted fetishes. So more of the story is if you see some of this shit, don't indulge in it. Don't even fucking look at it. Don't do anything with it. If they
You
look like a-
did.
You made a video, my man. You did something with this. What?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to pull the hypocrisy card, but you call it
Yeah,
hippo.
he's literally
hippo.
denying your example about being. Yeah.
kid, talk like a kid, and act like a kid. It's a fucking kid. Simple as that. It's really basic math, honestly.
Is there anything else?
I think that's
They're the
basically the end
panty
of the
shots.
video.
Why are there so much sexual implications to these characters that are made in the first place? It all comes down to the argument of the innocuous and harmless. To these
Okay, wait.
anime
Are we asking
that
why
it
it's like
to.
this?
It
Because
just won't.
there are
I mean,
there's research into
You
this.
have been a source of nothing but you've been so disgusting the
This
entire
is-
time
this
you've
is
been
the
here.
skit.
I'd ask you to leave, but you simply
Right.
just won't. I mean, will you please leave? Consuming this content? It's also the people that are making this content. If it is
Okay.
about that it's just cute, then why is there so much fan service, right? Why are they animated in these poses? Why are there the panty shots? Why are
And now he's
Because,
saying fan service. He's not
Well, it's
saying
like what we
cheese.
talked about. Yeah, well, it's like what we talked about with the last stream. It's like, well, maybe they don't see it really as sexual. Maybe they see that as cute.
there's so much sexual implications to these characters that are made in the first place? It all comes down to the argument of the innocuous and harmless content versus the audience it was made for. And as a last little bit of example, this is just this is actually just like a funny troll. I just think that this is pretty funny, but if you ever see a
Oh, okay, no,
forum
he
where
still
someone's
follows
like,
her, by the
I'm
way.
trying to get into new
VTuber.
anime. What anime should I watch? And you see people commenting the show, Boku no Pico, do not follow that suggestion. I'm quickly realizing too that there's so much wild shit in anime out there and so much horrid shit that I feel like you kind of just got to go on a self-discovery. You can't really ask for people's
Him laughing
think,
at that does
opinions
not
because
make a good
it's
case
just-
for him,
you're
by the
gonna
way.
fall in
Like, it
fucking
really just
traps
makes you want to look it
continuously.
up.
Yeah.
Or at least ask a group
Oh,
of
good
friends.
point.
Don't
Yeah.
ask
Yeah,
You're-
literally
you're
just say,
basically
just say
baiting
what it
people into looking
is.
it up.
Like, just
Just
play it
say what
straight.
it is.
You,
yeah.
you were playing that straight literally, like, what,
It
10
is,
seconds ago?
Yeah, let's not joke about it if this content is so grave. Like, let's talk about, like, say what it
You're
is.
falling
He literally
into
says,
the
do
same
not look at it. Like, it's like
Do not
bad
look
to
at it.
even look at it, and then he makes a joke about Boku no Pico.
Yeah.
Well, the problem,
Fucking
okay, the
random
problem is
things
he
about
literally was just like, well, if it looks like a child, acts like it, let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it what it is. A duck is a duck or whatever. So we're literally just calling this, you know, the CP.
Yeah.
But then we're
don't
acting
look at
like
this child porn, by the way.
Don't watch the Boku no Pico. It's just me strolling.
Oof. Yeah, don't look at that.
Don't look that up.
That's a great way to like just totally deflate the point you just made.
Right, yeah.
Like at least if they were like consistent and you were like, yeah, we need to treat this as if it is, you know, this highly like fucking this thing that's like fucking harmful. I could like
Yeah.
respect it. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I don't agree, but like you're at least clearly like,
Like, taking it seriously still?
yeah, but like the fact that he just immediately follows the point of like, well, you know, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, you know, it's probably a kid, and we, you know, we just need to treat it like, you know, it is what it is. But just don't watch Boku no Pico, guys. This shit's crazy, dog. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
it's like, yeah.
Do not
That's, I
watch
think, where you
Kodomo
can
no
get into something crazy,
G-Con.
which, you know, Boku.
Do not watch Boku no Pico at 3 a.m. Worst mistake of my life.
Do not pick up that phone.
Boku no Pico.
Trash
Alright,
Taste
we'll
is
just
gonna
say,
fucking
maybe
come
just
for
put a
ya.
little blurb of what Boku no Pico
Gekko's
is, 'cause
hiding
I
under
just say
your
just
bed.
Stay away from it. If you're a fan of that show, I don't
Oh,
know what
wait.
else to tell you. I'm not
Yo,
trying
what
to
the
use
Does
this
he-
video
does he
to
actually
post-
just do
ask
that?
your group of
Fucking
friends.
channel?
Don't ask fucking random strangers
show.
online, because that's, I think, where you can get into something crazy, which, you know, Boku no Pico. All right, we'll just say, maybe just put a little blurb of what
Okay.
Boku no Pico is, because I just say, just stay away from it. If you're a fan
What?
of the show.
What?
I don't know
Okay,
what
we're
else to tell you.
calling it
I'm
that,
not
but we're
trying to
making jokes about it.
We're
use this
making
video
jokes
to
about
Right.
shame anybody that
Gee,
likes
imagine
cute
people
anime
doing that
or,
with,
like,
like,
watches
any
anime
fucking,
in
like,
general. I just think you should
actually
watch
like
out for
well
these
known or
weird-
famous fucking
Imagine
child
doing
abuse-
that with cuties.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
No, not even.
Well,
corners of the
Well, yeah, I know what you're talking about, Moomy. Yeah.
Well, like that's the thing. Like they are segmenting. They segment it in their mind. There is
Right.
a compartmentalization of this,
Yeah.
but there's no recognition of that.
yeah,
You
like
do not
what a
watch Kodomo no
joke
G-Con.
About a
Reads Kodomo.
real film of a child being exploited.
Right.
You wouldn't joke about it.
No, we're not-
Daisy's Destruction is like
Yeah.
Oh,
mainstream
Daisy's Destruction
enough
is
that
like
people
the
know
go-to
about this
example.
shit.
Or
Yeah, that's
Clown
the-
House is another example where there's like really fucked up stuff behind that movie.
Okay, but so like
Uh,
imagine this whole
Death in
segment where he's
Venice.
talking about fucking Daisy's Destruction.
Right.
Don't look that up, guys. Fucking
That's a
crazy.
wild time. Woo, baby.
Whoa.
People are trolling,
It's-
guys. Fucking,
It'll
like,
come off as
Yeah.
incredibly poor taste.
It's just it's incredibly poor. It's just man.
But because this is a drawing, because there's no real people involved, no one was harmed in the making of this thing. It we can't joke about it because
They
it's,
have to segment it in their mind. They understand that these are different things, with
right.
different repercussions, but they won't
Yeah,
argue.
Daily
It.
Destruction is legit snuff. Yeah.
Like
internet
guys,
where
I'm
these
just
dark
making
things
a
happen,
comedic
because I
funny
feel like a
video.
lot of these people
I'm funny
who are
guy.
impressionable
Don't
can get
attack
sucked
me.
down very quickly
I'm
and pick
PapaMeat.
up bad habits. Is all I gotta say.
Very
Pick up
true.
bad
I'm
habits.
What do you
attacking
mean
this
bad
group
habit?
of people, but guys, don't attack me.
So wait,
Attack the real
hold
problem.
on. This is not like this isn't a Lolicon thing. This is an anti-porn thing. This is also just an anti-drug thing. Like, listen to what he says here.
Just stay away from it. If you're a fan of that show, I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you. I'm not trying to use this video to shame anybody that likes cute anime or like watches anime in general. I just think you should watch out for these weird corners of the internet where these dark things happen, because I feel like a lot
for
of
it.
these people who are impressionable can get sucked down very quickly and pick up bad habits. Is all I got to say.
So we're
Gateway-
just talking about porn here.
gateway-
It's just like
gateway
so.
drug
It's
kinda
literally
thing.
just do not ever do drugs. It will suck you down into a bad rabbit hole. Abstinence is the only way, and it's like
yeah,
What?
it's very after school special type beat.
yeah. It's like this is not. This
It's
is
like a
this is
fucking
precisely
90s
what like
drug
leads to
PSA.
problems.
90s drug PSA. Yeah, Dare,
Dare. Oh yeah, the wonderfully effective Dare program.
wonderfully effective Dare program.
Yes, that has stopped millions of people from doing drugs and certainly not made them aware of all the kinds of drugs that exist in the world that they can easily find on their street corner. Like that Dare program is totally backfired. Not like, we're talking about, hey, don't watch Boku no Pico. You may fall down a rabbit hole, guys,
Guys, don't do heroin.
Yeah.
These are the terrible effects of fentanyl. By the way, don't do fentanyl.
Don't do fentanyl. Yeah. That shit's not cool. Drugs
Yeah.
exist.
Drugs.
I don't. That's just like a bad fucking argument.
It's like, yeah,
I'm
why
like,
was this
oh.
video made? What does this video accomplish?
It's a bad argument. Well, yeah, it gets into that kind of logic, right? Where you're like, why?
What
What
have
is
we
the purpose
achieved?
of this? Yeah, like
Yeah.
what is the purpose of this? Is it supposed to just derail people from doing it?
I think it's like
Was it supposed to be effective at doing that?
I think it's supposed to be like him venting in some, because like it seems like he's getting into like anime, and he's probably like, why are there so like fucking many weird shit in these anime I'm watching? And then he sees like the fucking Vosh thing come out, and he's like, the fuck, people are defending this shit? That's just fucking straight up just child abuse. And
Look at that comment. Years later, years later, I still get a kick out of people suggesting to watch Boku no Pico and then having them curse me out and saying how much they regret Googling it. Again, you wouldn't do this with actual exploitation material because
that's not funny.
It's actual exploitation material. Yeah, there's a difference. Right. And they understand there's a difference.
Like the different, like there's like, you know, people like the like shock websites of like rotten.com and stuff. But even then, those websites did not cross into territory of like actual child exploitation.
No.
There was like also a clear line there.
No, yeah.
Also, yeah, half of these comments are about just the wow, it's really cool that you're talking with like a cartoon character.
Yeah, that's like most of the comments.
Yeah, most people don't really seem to care.
I mean, this whole video is just like appealing to anti-lolly and anti-porn people, which is very easy to do because like you just have to say porn bad and like people
especially with like
there can never be any fucking nuance to porn, which fucking pisses me off.
Right. Well, it gets into like this is like an outdated term, like swerve territory, like a sex worker exclusionary radical feminist shit.
I don't know. Like, I can appreciate like where you might be coming from and wanting to make a video like this when you're like frustrated or whatever. But it's like, dog, you know, this fucking topic has been covered to fucking death, and you know you didn't fucking bring anything
that's
new. Like you didn't. You did like the most scant modicum of fucking research. You made a
Boku no Pico reference in year of our Lord 2024.
Like he did such like fucking scant fucking research on this shit, where he's like just giving blatantly fucking incorrect information.
Yeah,
like
just right off the bat in terms of like what Shounen, Shoujo, Seinen, and Josei are. This
is clearly just you wanting to like vent something. Like you're just like, oh, this is just bad. I just want to fucking, I guess, virtue signal in a way or something, where you're just like, I want to come out and just say, put my foot down and say, Lolly is bad. And it's like, well,
it's like, okay,
that's great. The people that agree with you will agree with you, and the people that don't agree with you are going to be
not
convinced because
capacity.
PapaMeat, Meat Canyon, their favorite YouTuber, came out and said it was bad. Unless you're just unless you're making this as if like your audience is kids, which then would bring up a very uncomfortable discussion, I guess, of the fact that you're like sponsored by fucking Dragon Dildos at some point.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, but like I wouldn't say that he's making this for kids, but like it's like at the same time it's like I don't know who you're making this for otherwise, because it's like you're not really providing anything new. Like maybe just fucking a 19 to 23-year-old that's just found the internet for the first time in college.
Somehow, like
they finally got out of like their parents, like they got away from their helicopter parents and are finally allowed to watch YouTube.
Yeah, they escaped the cult.
They had to be given a fucking smartphone to contact their parents at college, and they typed in big titties for the first time on YouTube.
God damn.
There have actually been cases of people who at like very like conservative Christian universities have actually gotten in trouble with the administration for like looking up porn. It's really fucked up.
Yeah, I want to be like charitable,
which is why you need today's sponsor, NordVPN.
Well, that's another thing to be considered, right? We already talked about it before, but it's just like, again, with this video, it's just like you're not the right person to make this video. I don't. He needs to be told this. Like, dude, have you seen your fucking material?
This is out of your wheelhouse.
First of all, this is out of his out of his wheelhouse. It's a complicated topic with decades of history that you have done zero research into, because all he did was read the first fucking paragraph on Wikipedia.
He looked at some.
He read CBR. Give him some fucking credit.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he read the scholarly journal of comicbookreview.com, which, again, you're also a person who makes animated material with subject matter that isn't ethically or morally clean.
Right.
Let's say that, right?
Using real people.
Yeah, it's funny because
using real people, making horrific depictions of real people on the same platform that he uploads to.
It's Aochi says it's funny because if they knew about the Lolicon boom, they'd be able to provide so much more scathing critique due to the ties of Lolicon manga with nude child photo magazines in the early 80s. That's kind of the thing. There's like there are definitely like critiques that you can make both in terms of the history and in current and nowadays as well. But if we're just going to keep rehashing these same basic 7,000-year-old dragon loli arguments, we're never going to get there. And I think in part people also want to avoid going that far back in time because it involves names like Hayao Miyazaki, Hideaki Anno, all these kinds of people that are like, you know, very influential and have made stuff that they enjoy. And to a certain extent, this topic only really exists to draw a divide between this is what I like and this is what I do not like. The stuff that I like, this was made by good people. This is not problematic. The stuff that I don't like was made by bad people and is problematic.
Yeah. Well, that's literally, yeah. I mean, it's literally minor sexualization is okay if I like it. When it's not, it's child porn.
Yeah, Miyazaki's dangerous ideas.
So, you know, what's it called? Haruhi groping Mikuru in Haruhi Suzumiya? That's fine.
Yeah.
See,
anything I don't like, that's not okay.
Naked children in Ghibli movies, perfectly acceptable.
I'm reminded of that fucking article that was that British news organization. Was it just fucking the BBC that tried to do like some fucking scathing thing
the BBC put like
Lolicon?
the BBC sent some woman to Japan or whatever and she like interviewed some people.
Stacey Dooley.
Yeah. And the guy was just like, maybe you should like look at your own country first. Like I'm just that's basically what I always think back to is like...
Yeah, every news organization that's tried to cover Lolicon has done it in the most gross and racist way like possible. Like they might as well be doing like fucking yellow face and like rice field hats. Like they're really goddamn gross about it.
Yeah. Well, it's actually interesting that it was a BBC thing as well, given like, you know, the history and like almost like envy Britain has had of Japan's economic success since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's almost like we gotta knock them down a peg by attacking their media, and it's like, oh, good lord.
Again, it's like this weird like witch hunt against like Lolicon content, where it's like, oh, look, they're sexualizing children, and then you look at the like Western media can be much more insidious in that way because it's not like there is no real fantasy. It's just young girls that are like trying to adhere to like a beauty standard and like are just making themselves more adult and like sexualizing themselves, and like it just kind of is turned a blind eye to.
I think we're going to get to what child beauty pageants are, which are really gross.
What are you talking about? That's an American tradition.
It's not a proud.
It's not a proud one. as we learned from that episode of Always Sunny. But I think that basically covers everything for this for this. Yeah, we went through. I think we said basically everything we want to say. Yeah, it's not a good video. It doesn't really add anything. Not good. No. We reacted to it for the clicks, and the stream's done pretty well. So, yeah. I don't have anything else to say to you guys.
Should put us back in hell.
Real quick,
Aochi
mentioned the Lolicon manga being published in magazines with like child gravure and child porn.
Yeah.
To be clear, the Lolicons at the time were against it.
Right. Well, yeah, from what I understand, it was
so
like more
historically, this is not like a thing that the Lolicons were for.
Right.
Like the artists were not for that stuff. Like they did not want that shit in there. So just to be clear, but historically, like this is not like it's not like a gotcha on Lolicon. It's like it's a gross part of the history that was thankfully like shut down.
But again, we're never gonna talk about stuff like that if we're just spending our days going through My Anime List forum posts.
Talking about Maid Dragon for the fucking millionth time for no reason.
And Cheesecake.
How is that show made so much discourse?
I was about to say, why is it always Maid Dragon?
Bro, he's fucking Kobayashi Maid Dragon. Like, what the fuck?
Because it's one of the shows that people watched.
It's one of the shows of all time.
2017. it constantly gets brought up for like the dub drama, you know, anti-localizer
like,
people bring it up constantly, just beating that dead horse. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, anime fans have like a dozen fucking conversation topics, and they just get recycled decade after decade after decade. It never moves.
Nope.
Well, it's
because
like
of people just not wanting to put in the fucking research, not wanting to learn about this shit. Like, clearly watching this video, it's another video being like, I don't like Lolicon. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
I mean, you say you try to do research, but you didn't.
Epic.
You clearly did not do much research.
It literally brings nothing. Like,
nope.
Effectively, this is just a tweet. Like he says in the video, where it's just like, it's just a tweet saying, don't stop doing that. Like, okay,
yeah,
cool. Like, you didn't say anything. Like, literally said nothing.
Someone said in chat said earlier, it's just a moral review.
Tomy makes a good point. He talks about Dragon Maid, but he doesn't bring up Kana. He just talked about Ilalu.
Again, I don't think he actually watched the show.
I don't think so.
I think they just like used it as a talking point because
people like no one interacts with these, like actual Lolicon people. Like a lot of it is just a fucking joke in the community, which like I think it's a kind of gross joke, like with Boku no Pico and everything. The actual Lolicons, like you kind of have to go out of your way to find because they're a bit more like antisocial, if I'm gonna be real.
Right.
At least like publicly online. They
they're
enjoy hiding in their
vocal
little
people
Discord
on
server,
Twitter.
Like actual fucking cockroaches just spamming fucking cunny and shit like that.
And
all they retweet
spamming cunny, but then also being incredibly transphobic somehow.
Yeah.
What's funny about the Boku no Pico thing is it's not originally it's not really like ironic. Like it's not, they're not this. It wasn't originally meant to like legitimately recommend it to you, but it was like it was almost like a litmus test where it's like if you ask for recommendations, you get Boku no Pico, and then like you go watch it and you fucking hate it, you won't go back. But then if you do go back, then like you're the level of like deviant or deranged or whatever that would be accepted among like fucking 4chan, right? Because that's where
the A crew,
So it's like it wasn't originally like a fucking joke, like it is like now. It's just because of the because of the reaction and the memes or whatever, where people are like, "What's Boku no Pico?"
I think everyone. Sulfix says, I think everyone assumes it's implicitly evident and that any amount of research would prove them right, so it's redundant. So counterintuitively, no one researches it. That's a good point.
I mean, that's part of my point too. Like, no one actually wants to research this stuff, porn, anything adjacent to that.
Like, what are you talking about? It's
you don't
obvious.
like porn. You don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, like his infamously, Lolicon is something that's unresearched because of the fact that even academics are not wanting to look at it. Like, even the academy, something that like will say shit like will generally speaking have better faith into arguments and give people more credence and will actually try to like look at their argument. They're still shunning the idea of even researching it.
Yeah. Many anti-Lolicon have never heard of the Moe Manifesto. I think a lot of people who are pro, who are on Twitter arguing for Lolicon, and then also about how the West has failed, billions must die. Don't they don't know about the Moe Manifesto either. A lot of people, are just very poorly researched on this topic. And it's very annoying.
The thing is, like, it goes back to what we talked about with the last video we reacted to, of like just people not doing research and just assuming, like they said, assuming that the fucking research will just affirm your point. Where if you actually did the research, it might actually make for more interesting discussion because like you could approach it with your perspective and then augment or like change or adapt that perspective to the research and like what's actually been discussed before, and maybe even get a better understanding of like not only like yourself or like the other side, but like of your own fucking opinion.
Build a more robust argument, essentially, because as Funibori said, anything that doesn't prove them right is not a trustworthy source. So let's try again. To a certain extent, I gotta wonder. If you show someone like this, a beautiful fighting girl, and they get to Saito talking about Lacan, they're just gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's just making shit up." They're not. They may not even engage with it. in like honest terms.
Yeah, I mean, right now the discussion is like, lolly bad, it'll fucking ruin your life, and then people are like, oh well, what about people who have already fucking had abuse and like use it for fucking therapy?
Right.
There's no
They don't
response for that. Whereas like if they fucking, I don't know, did something, there could at least be some kind of like, maybe it's not the most fucking productive way to go about doing it, and it's like, okay, maybe that might be a fair discussion to have, but we aren't even at that point.
We're not even at that
rehashing
point.
fucking Dragon Maid from fucking 8 years ago. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, I don't think this video really wants any discourse around it either, or anything like. He doesn't want any arguments against it, because in the video itself, he like polices anyone going against his point as like, no, wrong.
Yeah, they're just it's just a guilt that yeah,
it's just guilt tripping.
It's in our case, it's clicks.
Mm-hmm. True.
We're here for views.
Guilty as charged.
Do you guys have any other good sources for academic material about anime and stuff? Man,
there are countless sources.
I would recommend. There's a publication. I'll put this in chat. I'll just type it out because it's kind of weird to say. Macadamia, not My Hero Academia. I'll type it out 1 second.
We did mention Beautiful Fighting Girl, but
Macadamia is like a journal publication.
That has like anime history,
like anime and manga study stuff.
It's been pretty good.
Yeah. So that's a good place to like start. That'll introduce you to a lot of different writers on a lot of different subjects, and then there's of course various books. Obviously, Joe's channel, Pause and Select, is a good place to start as well. Because he has a lot of
sources.
He cites sources. He has a lot of videos talking with people.
Yeah, the videos are good, and then when you want to delve more into it, there's plenty of fucking reading for you to do, just in the description.
The Anime Encyclopedia, first edition.
The Anime Encyclopedia would be like the Boku no Pico of like anime academic research.
Oh yeah, I meant to mention.
If you can get through the entire Anime Encyclopedia, you're a real G.
Yeah, so what's it called? Mentioning Macadamia. The last stream I mentioned a quote from Mari Kotani Mari about like Shoujo and Shounen stuff. Because you mentioned like basically historically that like the editors of Shoujo manga were like conservative men. But that is from a chapter in the first Macadamia, which is called Metamorphosis of the Japanese Girl, the Hypergirl, and the Battling Beauty. But yeah, that's from the first Macadamia. So
the Anime Machine, is also a really great book on the overall medium and its mechanics. Yeah, definitely the Anime Machine.
Everything by Patrick Galbraith.
Yeah, Galbraith.
Saito.
Yeah,
Hideo
the Moe Manifesto in general, I would say, is a really good starting text, just because of
the great starting text.
It. Yeah, it's because it's just chapter by chapter, different interviews. Each chapter is a different interview, so you can just pick and choose, go through it, and see like, okay, this person has interesting ideas, maybe I'll check them out, or this person has interesting ideas, I'll check them out.
Yeah, I think as like a starting pack, if like you haven't delved into like further reading on this stuff, that those kind of
like
a base.
Like those Mew album flowcharts, movie.
Oh, I thought you meant another Mew.
No, like the 4chan board Mew.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I get into Swans or whatever? And it's like a flowchart of all their albums. We should have that, but with like anime scholarship.
Anime fucking further reading.
Database Animals, great read as well. I guess it's like a companion to Database Animals, because it's you got to pick one or the other to specialize in. It's Database Animals or Beautiful Fighting Girl are the two diametrically opposed titans of otaku studies that have been translated into English.
Straight from the Heart by Jennifer Pro is pretty good if you're into shoujo manga.
There's a new book coming. I actually saw this on my timeline the other day. What's it called? It was like a history of shoujo. Fuck. I think let me see if I can pull it. 1 second. I retweeted this shit, so I should be able to find it. Here we are. Oh yeah, let me take us out of hell real quick so I can show this on stream.
Lower the spider's silk string. Let's escape.
Yeah. Also disable the dancing lolly. This looks interesting. James Welker, transfiguring women in late 20th century Japan, feminist, lesbians, and girls comics artists and fans. Coming in July. So rep that. This looks like it'll be interesting.
When is it coming out?
Yeah, July this year.
Oh hell yeah! I'll have to get
From what was this? University of Hawaii Press. So yeah.
Cool.
Shout out to that.
$68.
Ooh. Books are pricey. Anime Identity is a best theoretical text. Yeah. It's Stevie Swan, isn't it? I think Joe got something. What is 4 Plateaus and how do I join? That's
Well, you see, 4 Plateaus is a Discord server.
It's a Discord server, yeah.
As you go to in the description, there will be join our server.
And then we can direct you there.
Weeb Crew's Discord server. Justice.
That works too. Yeah.
And then you can subscribe to Gil Lies Here in Justice, and they will give you.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. Yeah, 4 Plateaus is a Discord server.
4 Plateaus.
Yeah, archive and material there. But I think that does it for tonight. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Meat Canyon, for giving us content to react to, like the outraged merchants we are.
Yeah, don't send your fucking hitman squad to kill us.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't kill police officers. That'd be wrong. Yeah.
You're free to dislike what you dislike. It's fine.
Right, yeah. Like I said, I don't really care if anyone just finds it gross. It's more so like the reasons people justify and be like
the terrible arguments.
Yeah, the moral sort of like condemnation they have for it is where I kind of take issue with it. Anyway, good night, everyone. Hope you have a good night.
Night. Oh my god!